And I'll see everybody at the green screen, guys. See you in a bit.
Hey, what up, everybody? Joe's gonna be off to Jamaica. Lord of mercy. You know, I know this movie. I know you know the Chappelle movie. What was that one back in the day? Shoot, it's gonna kill me now. You guys probably you're date yourself. It's like the very first. No, not Blue Streak, man. The week was Samson Simpson. Anyways, it'll come to me in a second. But yeah, I be from Jamaica. Yeah. If I wasn't from Jamaica, why would I wear this hat? Yeah. Anyways, I'll think of the movie.
Shotaz.
It's not Shot.
That's a good movie. Shotaz is a good movie. You've actually
seen that?
I've seen Shotaz. What do you mean?
Have you seen on the actual old school DVD what the punchline?
No.
The punchline.
Is it okay?
Half-Baked.
Half-Baked is the movie I'm thinking of. No, okay. Shotaz. It's like the baddest Ross Clot, but it just goes on the movie ever made. That is one of the most gangster films.
Oh yeah.
But if you actually want to like a real legit, like there's that Brazilian movie. Shoot. Joe knows what I'm talking about. It's like one of the best gangster films like ever, like real gritty, like old school gangster films ever made. City of God, that's the one. Forget about Shottas, that's gangster. City of God's the one you want to watch as I wax poetically about random stuff. The market's at lows, Intel's at highs because it's an absolute, this is not Intel. All right. Intel is at highs. Rivian bounced off VWAP and $14 reversion on Rivian's what I'm in. Oh, our position board isn't showing. Once I get a fill, it'll show it. I am also short Nikola because Nikola did a reversion and then it's about to break 81. So I shorted this with a stop here. I am out of most of it and my stop is right above. Actually, which is hilarious, this is like 81.3. It got to 81.1, so it just came very close, but not actually stopping me out there on NKLA. So we'll see what happens. But Obi.
Yes, sir.
Intel.
There it is.
I don't even know why I'm not long this stock.
I mean,
this is not an excuse, this is a reality. Obi and I were talking about, so I'm going to pull up my whoop for everybody here because I would have told you my story this morning.
This is
about my lack of sleep.
I'll try to pull up some of the articles.
So, can you? Yeah. Oh, now you got to do this. Oh, which one are we doing? Hey, man, just tell me which camera. I'm working on 3.5 hours of sleep. I need to know which camera I'm looking at. This one? Okay. Can you guys see, but now I have to hold it back. Anyways, it's a red recovery for me. I got 3.5 hours of sleep last night. My REM sleep was 19 minutes, which is decidedly underneath the norm. So I should have been very happy to have worked out some of the good longs this morning. Now the problem was I should have stayed, I should be long Intel off VWAP. Instead, it bounced off VWAP twice. I took neither one of those trades and then tried a reversion short at 26 and lost like 7 cents on it. It's nonsensical. It's still trending higher. It's up 11%. We knew this was one, so I'm mad at myself for not getting back into it. Like, you can say whatever you want. It's just a matter of not continuing with the trade as far as I'm concerned. So I'm still in AMD from earlier in the short side of the trade. Rivian's working. NVIDIA was pretty solid, but, you know, like I should very clearly, there, now we got to fill, so all the positions are in, but I very clearly should be in this off of VWAP. It's been an absolute beast. Justin Lloyd says in the chat, Intel short at 26.40. I think I have an idea where you're going with this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the level we targeted in the morning.
Like, this is what you're going at. Like, this is the level on the daily. I think that's if you're looking for a reversion, that's, I think, the place to have done it, not where I was trying at like that 26 change or whatever it might be.
The bell has not rung yet, Neil. I mean, it's trending up. It's breaking out. We could still get that. I was looking for that in the morning.
It's ringing the bells of shorts right now, I can tell you that much.
I'm watching.
So that's definitely true.
Yeah, no. Ned, just to go back to that point, let's talk a little bit about science, because we were talking about REM sleep, right? And I think this is very important. This is like a very, I guess, I feel strongly about it because I recently came to this epiphany where, like, okay, maybe because there is enough research for this, I should be so like you guys know, I track the sleep, make sure I get enough hours at night, be well rested. But going even further and being like, did I get the right amount of REM sleep? Right, yeah. And Neil kind of was talking about that just now, and yeah, I love this. I love AI, man. You can put in a question and it gives you the full, like it knows exactly what you're asking, right? So right here, research suggests that REM sleep plays a significant role in decision making by influencing the brain's ability to process information, regulate emotions, and assess risk. Did I write anything about being a trader?
Nope.
I wrote nothing about being a trader. This is just decision making. And then you guys can search this as well. It's a Google search right here. Impulsivity, right? Risk assessment. Prefrontal cortex, that's where we make our decisions, right? It's like, okay, well, emotional regulation. So it's like, yeah, okay, if you're aware of your REM sleep, you can probably make better decisions. It doesn't mean you're not gonna make good trades, or it doesn't mean you're not gonna, make money or lose money. It has nothing to do with that. It just means that you might not be at 100%. So you want to think about how you might be wanting to trade when you know you're not at 100%. That's all.
Yeah,
I've had this is a recent realization of mine, and I was just like.
The analogy I like to use is because, so I played some baseball back in the day, but I had a lot of injuries, like hamstring injuries, that kind of a thing. And I was like, my game was speed. So there were days where if I knew, okay, the hammy's tight, the back's not working, like I could play, but I know I'm not, maybe I'm not stretching first to third. I can be in the play, no issues at the dish, but this is a day where I'm not aggressively trying to steal. You got to pick your spots. I have to warm up more that day. You got to pick your spots. I think it's the same thing in trading because I didn't feel compromised. But what I did find today was, okay, well at lunchtime I was not really, you should be still long intel. You're not making the right decisions when you get into that sleepy time of the day, which is easy to happen. At the open, you could get sloppy. We might have missed a couple of chances to get some reloads, but it just comes down to you have to be more you got to be more, not cautious isn't the right word. You've got to be more aware of the fact that you are going to be prone to making weaker decisions. And so I know this, and I know we're going to get to Sharif in a quick second. I know that when I miss VWAP twice, what's happening, why I'm trying to short it there. Because I missed VWAP twice. It's like I should only be long the stock. I missed VWAP once, I missed VWAP twice. So you try to make a trade that isn't there. And Intel going to continue to break highs as we go to Sharif to see what you guys want to talk about. And I'm guessing maybe Intel's one of them. I don't know. We'll see. Sharif?
Welcome, everyone, to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. Obi is in for Sean. He's not feeling well today, but they're both locked and loaded, ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. So make sure to join us during the How to Trade show during the midday and get into the chat so you can vote for your favorite tickers every day and have them show up on the rundown. Here's a look at the triple Qs. Look at that move down on the NASDAQ. Wow, wow, wow. So maybe the numbers I have here are old, but I had 0.16 negative on the NASDAQ. I had the ES flat with the Dow also being down 0.25%. The only major average green on the day is the Russell 2000 up in between that 0.25% and that 0.33%. Here's the first ticker though, as decided by you, the only Mag 7 name that's actually green on the day. Funny enough, it didn't really have much of a headline though, but NVIDIA guys trying to hold up green below that 140 level right now, but still up 0.58.
Yeah, maybe not for long, because we just rolled over on the market right there. So just very quickly, I was chilling in AMD. It was 20 cents, 15 cents in the money. Now it's $0.50. But the NASDAQ just did this roll through the low of the day. NVIDIA absolutely was relatively strong. We were long this morning a couple times. I said I got away with longs on NVIDIA today. Bounced into VWAP, kind of got away with one tight stop, had another one reload. It just wasn't really following through. We kept the stops tight, eventually turned to a short on NVIDIA. Clearly that's the way to be. I had it at 140 before, and we held on to AMD right now, and position board just went. All right, once I get another fill, it'll come back. I'm short AMD and Nikola right now, and long Rivian off VWAP at 14. But I think we have an opportunity here now to sort of look at this from VWAP. It's holding trend underneath VWAP on NVIDIA, and I'm just going to short this trend. Right now, it'd be around the 140 level. It's making lower highs and lower lows. The other thing you got going on here is, you've broken, it was a breakout this morning, no questions asked, and you are starting to roll back in. So you're still above prior highs, so there's a chance you could find some support at 139 even, 138.80, which is where we closed at. But until then, I'm going to respect this trend from about 950. When it lost VWAP, it's been holding lower highs the entire way through. As long as it holds that trend, I want to short underneath it. And while we're at it, I was just looking to get a reload in AMD off of VWAP here, and it just doesn't seem to want to get there. So another push back into the low. I'm holding it from this little push where it's giving you, like it wicked me out, so I waited for it to get to VWAP and test, get to VWAP and test. I'm not sure we get there again. So I want to short into VWAP on AMD. I want to short into that trend line on NVIDIA. And we'll see what is up with the rest of the chip names, because at the end, we'll talk about the strong one.
Yeah, so I think VWAP's a great place to be today, or else it's shown us in the morning session and in the midday session. You can see that it does try to break. We were talking about how NVIDIA was just chopping within its opening range. Which way is it going to break? And going into the midday session, we did break down below that opening range low, and you can see right here, clean tests of VWAP right here. It comes right back in. So it's like, all right, well, you saw that break happen. You saw that, you observed that VWAP held. There's definitely a little bit of selling happening at VWAP. When we come back in and break that uptrend into VWAP, guess what happens? We come right back in. Sellers kind of step back in at that VWAP, showing themselves once again. But yeah, Neil is definitely correct. It's holding prior day's levels right there on that pullback into 139. So current day low is 138.98. So holding that trend, but we know that that NVIDIA has been strong all of the end of last week as well. So a little bit of a pullback coming into the beginning of the week, shortened week as well. I'm curious to know whether or not we hold some of these prior day highs right here. We got that 36.50 from Thursday, and then just above that 39 level on Friday. So consolidation underneath VWAP. Market did kind of quadrunk right there, but NVIDIA did not break its low just yet, so holding up pretty well above that 139. I'm going to be continuing to watch that one going into the close.
Tough day today for Tesla, down, guys. It was an aggressive move down, but only down 1%. Could have been worse. A couple of headlines here. Tesla finalizes the locations in New Delhi and Mumbai for showrooms as it plans to start selling or start India sales. We'll have to see how that all works out. Elon Musk did meet with Prime Minister Modi last week. There's also this headline over here. So we had been hearing about Tesla rolling out full self-drive in China. It looks like that their ambitions may be at risk here, as China may use the rollout of FSD in its negotiations with Donald Trump for tariff. Guys, time will tell.
And look, Tesla, good rally to end the week last week. You know what? I'm just going to take a fill so you guys can. Position board's still not back yet, so if I get a fill, in theory, there he goes. Just to show you guys, I still have a bit of Rivian left. We took another leg out in front of 14.20, and I'll get to that as we talk a little bit about EVs here. A great rally for Tesla to end the week, but on Friday, it wasn't a consolidation, it was a pullback day. And when you look at what happened today, we couldn't get past that 360, 363. So I kind of thought we'd be going breakout at 363, where we were gapped higher. It just never materialized. Tesla's been a sell ever since. Actually, when we were at 350, I turned to Obi and was like, yeah, 348's the level. That's where it held. Like 348, 348. 50 hadn't even mattered on Thursday or Friday. And of course, what does that mean? That means we bounce off 350 today. It's just sometimes that's how it goes. I was kind of looking for a reversion off to 48. If it's bouncing off 50 now, I want to be a little bit patient with this. Still feel like there's a couple of dollars that could go lower than this, and if the market's going to be relatively weak, give it another shot. But VWAP sits right at 355. I think that gives you an opportunity. You know, if we're breaking out above there, great. That's great for Tesla. But ultimately, it feels like we had a couple of days worth of rally, then we're back to the weakness that we've been seeing recently in Tesla. So I don't want to call it a tank, because compared to what it was doing before, it's only about 1% to the downside. And we're going to have Randy on, so we got to talk about, well, at some point, got to talk a little bit about Rivian. Rivian,
oh boy,
this is the kind of, here, let me go to the daily chart. Daily chart matters way more here. Accumulation at the 200-period moving average. We can all see that. Breakout last week, the 50-period moving average. Today, it dipped at the open right into this prior wick, right into the 50-period on the daily, lit grab, and then breakout. Pulls right back into the close at 1403, pulls right back into VWAP at 14 and bounces. So if this holds 14, I want to be long this thing. If it doesn't hold 14, we get out. Pretty simple. The market's weak. I don't want to fight it too much, but generally speaking, like that kind of a liquidity grab reversal as a continuation play. And I shout out to the chat for yelling, well, not typing aggressively about Rivian to remind us what was actually happening in the stock.
Yeah, I think that one was pretty wild off of the open there. But yeah, Tesla, I like that 350. We kind of talked about it this morning as well. Bit of a downtrend break. You see that we've been aggressively selling off of this 420, 440 area prior to earnings, and then after earnings, 420 has been the high right there. 419.99 specifically intraday, and then at the end of the month in January, we get that aggressive selling into the close, and we've been getting selling all the way into prior Tuesday, and you can see that since or Tuesday a couple of weeks ago, and you can see that it's been broken the trend. It's broken the trend. We've reclaimed that 350, and then the hold of 350 currently. So that's what we're watching right now. 302 lows. Right there, 350.02 lows. That's interesting. I was talking to a couple guys about the interesting pivot that some of these tickers have. They can't even print the whole, right? People are just stepping in so aggressively in front that it prints like an 02 or like an 01. You can see prior day as well. We're making, technically, as of right now, we're still making a higher low relative to prior trading day on Friday. So could be interesting. Bit of a downtrend on the day. And we definitely have the market tailwind to give us that. Let's see if we can break this downtrend here as well. This is pretty clean to the downside. We're still holding 350. Let's see if we can bid back up. This week is going to be interesting, I think so, on Tesla, as we are technically breaking a higher time frame trend. So let's see if we can hold 350 over under.
Aggressive selling on Friday, guys, when it came to SoundHound. It lost the bid there. Today, tried to bounce back a little bit, but well off the highs, only about 2 1/3%. This is the headline that we got on Friday. NVIDIA, which was a well-noted investor in SoundHound, dissolved its entire stake, guys, after it filed its 13F. So NVIDIA no longer invested in SoundHound.
So this is the example of, okay, so how did the lack of sleep or different preparation manifest itself this morning? It's in preparation and not getting to SoundHound. So, like, you know, if you watch the open, I'd say trading was fine. Like, the market was going down and pretty much every long had worked. So, okay, we're in the right stocks. That being said, as much as SMCI did have a good day, look, you can't complain. You should have been looking for longs in Intel. NVIDIA got away with it, but it wasn't an overly strong stock. SOUN was short sell restricted after that after the divesting, and it held the low. We saw the bounce at the open on Friday, right off of $10.50. It bounced off that area again at the end of the day, even if barely. So what does it proceed to do? Day 2 short sell restricted. That means that you can only hit the bid to enter a short position aggressively if the last print is an uptick. Doesn't mean the stock's going up, but it usually means if it gets a relief rally, it's just got a little more juice to it. So that's exactly what happened. Wick did at the open, trended up, held VWAP. Textbook SSR bounce play. So it was a failed opportunity. Anytime you see stocks like this with that big hammer down over 10%, and that's a stock you trade, that next day, I'm not saying it's going to go up, but if it put in any kind of a structured low like this double bottom, and it doesn't break that long at the open, that's a good shot play for the long. It's just a risk-reward play. It goes from bottom right into the prior resistance, so you know the range. It essentially just worked that range for you, and that was the missed opportunity this morning. I think that's one I probably already slapped a fail, but should have been long this. We like the SSR bounce. That's the textbook example of a continuation play on a short sell restricted stock.
Yeah, I think that's a miss on my part as well. Again, yeah, day two of the catalyst, and it's still doing a little bit of volume here, coming back, as Neil pointed out. Yeah, it gives us that whole range. That's absolutely beautiful here. Day 2 on the SSR, and the hold of VWAP as well. The pullback can't really pull back as much, and it holds a higher low, giving us that pushback up into that range high from prior day, that opening range high. You can see how well it was held. The first 15-minute candle, and later on as well, bit of a double top resistance at that 1190 area. Today's high, 1190. So we've come right back into that VWAP. Let's see if this prior low holds, or do we just continue the trend, right? This was a prior support and resistance, you can call it. It acted as resistance on day one of the catalyst. Day two coming in, we're acting as a little bit of resistance there once again at that 1190. So now, is it washed enough to continue that into that low? That's the question I'm asking. Day low currently at that 1050 mark, prior day low 1040. So maybe let's see. It's holding below VWAP right now, and yeah, getting sold by Intel, definitely a strong catalyst to say the least. We know that it ticked up on this catalyst just a few months ago, right? So it's like, all right, we knew that this was one of the subsidiaries of NVIDIA, and you can see the run that it's had just on that association with NVIDIA. So now kind of giving the move back and confirmation with that news. We broke trend much before this news came out. This news came out last week. So interesting price action nonetheless here on SoundHound. But yeah, let's wait and see if we can get back to these consolidation lows down at $5, Neil. So if this reversion goes 100%, there's a bit of a shelf here at $4 to $5 on SoundHound. So could be interesting.
Trading at the highs and above 5% now is Nike. This morning in the pre-market, we got word that they were joining, Nike that is, joining forces with Kim Kardashian's Skims for fitness fashion. The stock has obviously gained. Now I know exactly what trade I missed in the day. Kim Kardashian did post this on her Instagram page, kind of verifying the headline there. Should also know Bill Ackman added into his Nike position as well. We got that filing last week, boys.
Rocket today. Just so what we said about almost said Nikola. Nike, Nikola, that's why I'm thinking about Nikola. When we think about Nike, today, great day. What I would caution when you zoom out the chart was simply look at the 200 period moving average on Nike. When we talk about indicators, you want to know that a stock is respecting it. This one to the downside has been respecting the 200 period moving average. So if we press into this at 80, that's where a big test comes in. It has been wholeheartedly rejecting the 200 period since the breakdown in December of 2023. It's been a brick wall. That does mean a breakout technically could happen if it closes above this sucker. But until that does, I think you've got a definite area where these 70 longs are giving you a profit target to take. I don't know that I want to trade this afternoon. Maybe there's a reversion in there. The volume's not great. It's a strong stock. I just don't know where we're getting in or have an execution plan for Nike. I think maybe even like a reversion as it's getting close to that 80 resistance is going to be a play at some point for myself. Like I could see that tomorrow, or I guess tomorrow is midweek. I was going to say tomorrow or Wednesday, but tomorrow is Wednesday. I can see that Wednesday or Thursday where we're pulling into that 80 level on the daily and just going to look for a reversion short for the day trade. Just very quickly, because I mentioned Nikola, and this is why it was on the brain. It just broke back underneath VWAP, so I took the trend break. It didn't break out the prior high. If I get another shot to reload this, here, my price is actually 78.5. If I get a chance to reload this 79 or so, I probably would do that and then continue to work this range short on Nikola. It's up 38%, but I like the trend reversal there. Yeah, Nike, I can see myself shorting around that 80 level possibly tomorrow. I don't think it can get there today.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nike was a good one. We talked about it this morning, and look at the air that it's caught all day here on Nike. 74, 75, 76 with a consolidation low right here on Nike. But yeah, we kind of observed that, or in the morning, I was just like, yeah, this is broken trend, and it's been trending up for about what's the date today? Today is the 18th. All right, so about roughly 8 days, give or take a few for the weekends. But yeah, a little bit of a push up, and today we get that acceleration through that through that 75 mark. You can see again, we talked about where potential places we can look for sellers, and if they're there, and they definitely were not. At 75 is something that we pointed out in the morning session there, and then this prior high as well, 76 isn't changed. Let's see if we can get up to the 78.86 prior high, a bit of a double top there from the end of January, and it seems like we're headed right up there. So very, very strong trend on Nike today. I don't know. I think I'm a little late for it today, Neil, but let's see if it gives us a continuation tomorrow.
Oh man, Intel, the best week in 20 years it had last week. What a fantastic look. We started off this week, the shortened week, with an even better look. It looks like as if Taiwan Semi and Broadcom both being discussed right now as possible Intel being discussed as possible acquisition targets for both Broadcom and TSMC. Broadcom specifically looking for their chip design business and their marketing team there, while TSMC looking at picking up some of their foundries. It should be noted the two companies, TSMC and Broadcom, are not talking. They're both speaking individually and independently to Intel. Broadcom is only interested in picking up their chip design and marketing business if another company can pick up the foundry. So you feel like it's just a matter of time until these boys start talking. Neil was involved in it, guys. It's trading at the high, up over 11.9%. Jeez.
Well, everybody was trading today was probably, I shouldn't say everybody. I misspoke. Thank you to Carl for pointing this out. I misspoke when I said, I was kind of saying this morning when the market going down, like every long I was in just kind of worked out. But again, it depends on what you were in. Obviously, the market wasn't strong off the open. It just depended what you happened to be in. But almost every day trader I know, certainly around here, the ones from other offices that we sometimes talk to, was looking at Intel today. And as Sharif said, the best week it's had in 20 years. I would posit to you, if this is the best week that you've had in 20 years, that's pretty pathetic. It's just true, but it's still a very strong stock. Every single day for the last week, it has been a trading vehicle. We're talking over 100 million shares in volume. You can see the relative volume has been through the roof. It's been trending up. It broke and held above the 200-period moving average. Oh yeah, Joe, have a great trip, man. Safe flight. Safe flight.
Love everybody here.
Joe's heading off. He's going to be going to Jamaica.
Let's go.
Okay, so here's the thing, man. I'm being straight up. Like Intel, great. Just for a quick second, there's so much snow around here. It's like minus 20. It's freezing every single day. Like it's just Randy's going to be able to talk about the amount of snow that he has. So I love Joe, but I'm getting a little FOMO, the fact that he's going to be on a plane in Jamaica and we're going to tough it out here. So we're all happy for him, but we got a little bit of that jealousy that kicks in because I want to be somewhere warm. Man, I can't wait to go to Florida for spring training, even though the Jays suck. So yeah, Intel still should be long. Let's just get that out of the way. I said this morning, we're going to go long off of VWAP, and then I just stopped. So with prior high, it's a simple trade. Prior high break, hold VWAP. So why not long there? Why not long there? It's just a missed opportunity. You are now at this high, going back to November's high. There it is. November's high, which on a closing basis is already broken at 26.40, and on a wick basis is like 26.70 or so. So if there's going to be a reversion, I would suspect it's going to be there. Intel, for whatever it's worth, is a rocket ship. The structure of how this would play out with Broadcom and TSM is a little complicated because you're not talking about all aspects of the business that would get broken up here. It's the foundry and the chip design that still leaves quite a bit, and there'd be a lot to hash out. But I still think you're unlocking value, and this is good in the short term for the stock, even if each day that we don't get any potential details of something happening, you run the risk of some profit taking coming into Intel. So I do think volatility is going to be here to stay for Intel, but it's kind of a long till it isn't, man, when you look at that trend. We had our pullback day, and we just gapped it and broke back out. As I said, should still be long, and at this point now we're 20 cents away from that high on the daily. So it's hard to hit that button right now when we're looking at a reversion level.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I'm just kind of just watching this, being like, how can I do a little bit better next time? Definitely had a bit of a long thesis, or eventually built into a long thesis later on. I did try the reversion on the first pullback. We can kind of go through this chart here. This is Intel currently printing 26 halves. Oh boy, Neil, I had my first long was at on the false break of that 25.10s. We're about a point and a half higher now. But yeah, it gave a lot of opportunity. And again, we talk about being patient, and I think I still was not patient enough. I was a little too aggressive on this one. Again, it gives you that VWAP pullback. It gives you the VWAP pullback for the continuation trade. Right here, I think I did really well recognizing that, okay, I should not be shorting this. This is going to push up past that 25. We are aggressively strong. We're gapping up above prior days, end of day catalyst kind of highs there as well that we got. This is what I mean when I say that. Let me pull up the chart so I can show you guys at the same time. So this was that catalyst high around 130 that we got. We got a push up to 24.20s. And look at that. We're gapping up above today in the pre-market, holding that level and then pushing off, breaking pre-market highs, pushing off even higher, and then pulling back into VWAP. So I do like that. And it coming back into VWAP, I want to see if there were buyers off of the open, I want to see if they show up again. And in my opinion, I think they did. And later on in the day, it confirmed that they did. But I was a little too aggressive for this move that's happening right now. I was looking for that prior high at that 2640, and currently we did consolidate there. 2640 is a little bit, and pushing even higher right now at 230 in the afternoon session. But here I get a little too aggressive. Give it back right here. Try again. Don't really have as much conviction in it because I'm like, all right, we got to wait for VWAP to come back in. That's where real risk kind of is. It comes into VWAP. Not really there. I do try a little bit of a reversion here. I try a short and I went for a bit of a walk there, came back, and it was pretty much trading here. I didn't expect it to come back here, so I was like, all right, well, if this happened, then this trade is off, and good reason too, because now we're making higher lows and reclaiming that 26, holding on to that 2640 prior weekly high. This is what I mean when I say that. Just pull up Intel on a weekly chart, take off the VWAP so you can see it cleaner. Right here, this consolidation high. This was the earnings in July of 2024 where we quadrupled from 30 all the way down to 19s. So all the way down to 19s, that's where that's where demand has been for a little bit, and now we're taking that trend right back up to the consolidation highs. So it should be interesting. But next stop, Neil, 2970s, I don't know.
So before we go up to the desk, AMD just did this. I'm going to get to the super chat. So I did not there we go. AMD just broke that prior high. So I'm out. Trending back into the upside. We're holding it from this VWAP test all the way at like 1130. So no reload for me. We just broke it back out when it got through our resistance spot. But shout out to JCB Sports Cards. What up? What kind of sports cards are you into? I used to collect baseball cards. I mean, technically I still have them, so I guess that means I do collect them. Not that I do much with them anyways. Thoughts on STAI, hold through end of day or sell and take the Robinhood day trade nasty email. Thanks. I don't know what to tell you about any Robinhood emails that you might get. I understand you want to watch out for that pattern day trading rule or whatever it might be. I have a general rule of thumb when it comes to trading small caps. Whenever I've swung them or owned them in the past, I always try to keep it very simple and make sure that I bank profits. I don't know where you're in or what your risk tolerance is. But generally speaking, anytime I ever had any one of these runners, it would usually be something along the lines of I've taken this local breakout, let's call it 270, or I've bought this dip in front of it. And when it goes 30, 40% of the money or a 50% move, whoop, that's not my chart. What chart is it? Can we come to my chart for a second? Oh. There we go. Yeah, so when it's made this break, I'm always banking profit. And to me, when you get something that looks like this, there's your trend break, you're catching it on a continuation play. I want to take profit in front of the high, and that way I can let it ride a little bit more confidently, understanding that at any day you can get things like offerings, you can get 100% retracements. We've just seen it happen time and time again. I don't know what your risk tolerance is. I don't know what your plan of action was going into it, but I always say no one ever went broke taking profit. And when you have one of these things on like a clean breakout trade for continuation, well, if this loses VWAP, we could be at 3 by 4 p.m. today, and we could be at $2 tomorrow. I don't know anything fundamentally about the stock, and usually when you play these small cappers, it's not as if we usually do. So a lot of times you just want to make sure that when you make a good decision or when you make a good trade, you want to reward yourself. And that's even more true when you're trading these small cappers. Great that it's holding VWAP, but I presume you're not talking about a day trade right now. You're talking about some kind of a swing. With that, we promised you a little bit of a segment today because Randy was at the auto show here locally and has something to dish on for you guys.
So the first thing to know is that it was better than last year.
Yes.
Definitely better than last year. Much better than 2 years ago. But as you were saying, the same weekend as Chicago for some reason.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't plan these things. It
Scheduling, I
just
guess?
seemed, yeah, I mean, it seemed like our show got a little more hype, a little more attention. I've been looking at the U.S. dailies to see, who was talking about what, and it's just a bunch of chatter, but I give it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, all right, that's not bad.
We've got
That's not
more
bad.
manufacturers than we had last year, 2 years ago. Of course, during COVID, nobody
Crowds?
showed up. It was busy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was
Good.
busy.
All right, so we'll touch on a few things here. We're gonna focus it. Someone's throwing stuff. We're gonna focus it on EVs, obviously, because that's mostly what everyone's talking about of late. We'll start with Rivian here. You took a bunch of pictures of the R2.
The R2.
Which was in attendance at the Canadian International Auto Show.
I was rather happy that Rivian Canada, as diminutive as they are, brought the pre-production or prototype R2, and I asked lots of questions, and I got very few answers, and I think that was probably on purpose, but there's a lot to like. Now, I'm a fan. Neil can, yes, he repeats it, but if you got close enough and took enough photos, it's a smaller version of the R1S.
Right.
But proportionally, as you said, it looks really tall. Not so much. It's really well done. Same technology, same battery pack, same skateboard chassis that Rivian's known for, same software. The newer hardware, less modules, there's zonal architecture, a lot less wiring, so it's lighter, better performance, better range. When? March of 2026.
For how much? Still remains to be seen.
Still remains to be seen. They wouldn't answer the question.
Yeah.
Got $100.
Yeah.
My
Put your
Fisker
name
Ocean
on the
money.
list.
Put your name on the list, and they'll get you one a year from now, maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe.
I mean,
not.
the one thing that the CEO, really went out of his way to specify during that launch event of this vehicle was the luxury aspect was coming down, the materials were coming down, the technology involved was coming down, all in the name of being able to produce these at a rate at which they could actually get them out the door and get them into people's hands, because to date, they really haven't been able to do that.
Right.
I mean, it's getting better, but they really haven't been able to.
They've got to
do
trim and streamline their supply chain costs, and he's really very focused on this. And I think he also wants to break the Elon Musk cycle of promising something and then it's 2 years out before we actually see it. I don't think he wants to follow in those footsteps. So I was really impressed with the R2. Again, it's a year away.
Yeah.
So
did they have the other vehicles?
They had them all there. Yeah. Except for the EDV, the electric delivery van, which I was very interested in. Order books are now open to the general public, not just Amazon. It's the same van. There's two wheelbases. One's called the 500, one's called the 700. About 160 miles of range. And people go, that's not very much. But they're meant for inner city urban delivery areas.
Right.
Amazon's had great success with the vans, great reliability. And honestly, these vans are probably not on the road at night. So longer charge times, lower charge rate, but the cost is right around $100,000.
Here is Rivian's chart for anyone who hasn't looked at it in the past little while here. This is a daily chart. So nice end to last week, going into, had nothing to do with Canadian International Auto Show. Let's be honest. But I think that headline, though, that was the big day, I believe, going back a couple of weeks here, the big day to the upside. That was that headline when they were going to open it up, the van. I mean, they still haven't, let's be honest, they still haven't got Amazon all of the vans that they promised.
They have not. And Amazon has, I believe, a 16% shareholder value in the company itself. More vans on the way. Yes, there was some production mayhem and supply chain problems, we'll call them, last fall, which I think they've largely sorted out. So now the foot's on the pedal. They can build as many as they can. And if you want one for your own company, maybe you're a contractor or a local courier, you can order one. The other one I looked at was the Bright Drop, which is the General Motors delivery van. It's an odd segment to look at when you go to an auto show because who's buying a delivery van? But there's contractors. Yeah. There's lots of utilities, lots of fleet vehicles that are buying these vans that are driving just around the city. They're not a long distance vehicle. 6,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating. That's not bad. Again, 160, 180 miles of range. There's still $100,000, but you know, there's a lot of demand, pent up demand for these. The order books are open. Very similar inside and out. Again, the EDV, I've not seen it in person, but I've got a lot of up-close pictures of it. The drivetrains are fairly similar. Front-wheel drive is base, all-wheel drive optional. But they're tall. You could camp in this thing.
They're big.
They're
yeah.
huge.
Yeah, and I think that was designed for two things. One is the operator, whoever's running the actual van, to be able to walk through it standing up straight.
Yes.
Rivian, you can do that as well, and then have maximum capacity going up and down.
You could be an NBA player and walk through this thing. It's 7.5, 8 feet tall inside. So packages overhead, lots of racking, lots of safety features, cameras all around. So you're maneuvering in tight spaces in an inner city environment. You're inching your way through alleyways.
Yeah.
They got you covered. Really impressive.
Next on the list here, here's Polestar. If you haven't looked at that chart for quite some time, it's done absolutely nothing since the middle of last year. We're still hovering. This is $1 right here. So we're just hovering over top of $1. That's a controversial looking trunk.
Sharif and I had this conversation. I think a lot of people have. The first thing you notice is it has no back window. And there aren't many cars you can buy that do not have a back window. And I'm sure this, when it hit the design board, there was a lot of discussion. However, you sit inside, and no, I did not get a picture of it, but there is a fisheye camera. You can see it just at the top there. That gives you a much, much, much better view of what's behind you. And it's pretty much a fisheye, so you can see, almost like a surround view sort of camera.
Right.
Than you would ever see with the A-pillars, the way they're sloped. And blind spots galore. So I think it really made sense. They spent a lot of time with this design. The interior is absolutely gorgeous.
That gives you an idea of the massive size of that rear door.
It's huge. There are tons of cargo space. With the seats folded down, somebody was in it just before I took the photo, with the one seat folded down, you could put skis and a kayak in there maybe. It's huge. It's absolutely massive. Great little inner city utility vehicle. Relatively well priced. I think Polestar's underrated right now in terms of their stock price. There's a lot of great things coming. Very minimalist design, very well built. Lots of upside here. They don't seem to have the traction they need in North America. Lots of them on the road here.
Tons.
Tons.
That's what, you and I were just saying that. And to see that stock at $1
Yes.
and not being able to get away from that.
Surprising.
What is the reason behind it?
I don't know. I mean, again, I think they're looking for sales traction in other markets and that adoption. A couple new models in the works. They're on their way. They're going to make one in the States and the other one, I believe it was South Korea, to get around the tariffs.
Right.
And then that should help their bottom line, their profit margins on these cars. But they're really well done. Gorgeous interiors, really comfy. The ergonomics, if you like that sort of thing, and if you do a lot of driving, I think it's important. Really, really well done. I was impressed.
All right, let's go to the other end of the spectrum here. The entire other end of the spectrum here. I mean, I'll grab Lucid's chart here in a second, but Lucid, the Gravity was there in real life.
In real life.
Production model, or is this still
This, I was told, was a production model. How much truth there is to that, I don't know. The rest of the Lucid team was uninformative, maybe?
Right.
On purpose?
To say the least.
I asked a lot of questions, and there wasn't a lot of details. Unbelievably stunning car, inside and out. This has been long awaited. This should help Lucid's fortunes, I think. They've been a laggard in the EV space. I mean, they've had the air out for a while, and it's incredibly expensive.
You see a few around, though. I mean, there's a couple that roam around the streets down here.
They are not like a Tesla, and they're not as popular, obviously. But the Gravity should improve their fortunes. It's really well done. 850 horsepower. Lots of toys. 146,000 Canadian, which is, if you're a high-end Model X would be the equivalent. It's a lot fresher than the Model X. But there's more on top of Lucid Gravity if you want to spend more money. So a great range, 550 kilometers, 385 miles. So it's not bad.
The luxury aspect of it.
Beautiful inside and out, recycled materials, gorgeous interiors. That upper couple levels over a Polestar, over something else, but beautiful car. And then on top of that, we had Cadillac. And Cadillac, GM, kudos to you. You guys pulled it out all the stops. It was the most impressive pavilion at the show. They've got 5 new electric platforms. The Mystique, the Lyric, and the Escalade IQ. This is the biggest SUV I've ever sat in. It would stretch from here to the other side of our stage. It seats a football team. There are screens everywhere, and I mean lots of screens. It's 750 horse, 750 kilometers.
All
of range.
electric.
All electric. She's big. She's 8,000 pounds. As you said, you wouldn't want to get hit by this thing.
Yeah.
It's a big, beautiful, bold statement by Cadillac. Yes, they have a lot of other lower, smaller models in their lineup. GM's pulled out all the stops with Cadillac. I was very impressed overall at the show by their, not only the pavilion, but the breadth of their models. A lot of different selections to, cater to different price ranges. Really, really well done. Gordon.
The one person here that has said Escalade
Yes.
may need to do an upgrade once this thing gets out. Real quick, here's Lucid. I mean, a few days in a row here, straight higher. We're back above $3 for Lucid, testing multi-week highs here. So Lucid, outside of the Rivians and Polestars of the world, faring a little bit better.
I hope they can turn this around, and they need to, honestly. I mean, SUVs are outselling every other type of car, sedans and so forth. I don't see Lucid building a pickup truck. I don't. Let Rivian and Ford battle that market out. But they need the gravity, and I think it will sell. You've got to have a bit of cash in your wallet, but beautiful platform.
Yeah.
Is it reminiscent of the Model X when it first hit our shores? So be it. I mean, there's a budget, there's a time and a place for this, and a market for it.
Yeah.
If they can get this out the door without a whole lot of issues and a whole lot of hoopla, I think it'll sell. Will it outsell a Tesla? Probably not.
At the end of the day, they have the backing that I don't think
They've got lots of money in the
They
bank.
don't need to care.
No, well, I mean, they need to be productive.
Right.
Profitable.
But they're not going anywhere.
We'll see. They're not going anywhere.
Speaking of Tesla, quick recap. Was Tesla even there?
Tesla was there. I think I saw a Juniper, but do I care? No.
Not that impressive.
You know what? It's we talked about this at length. It's largely from the outside anyway, a cosmetic upgrade. Yes, you get the flat bottom steering wheel, the yoke, a few other little things, the taillights. Again, they've just massaged. And every other car manufacturer does this every 4 years with a facelift every 2 years. It's not that groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Software updates, we've got a little bit more range, not really any more power. The underlying architecture hasn't really changed that much.
Seems his focus has shifted entirely to the
Robotaxi.
10,000 robots that he's planning
Yes.
on building this year.
So I didn't really purposely bypass it, but there wasn't a whole lot new there.
Right.
It's been covered, so.
Tesla's Tesla. Randy with his Canadian International Auto Show review. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Somebody clip that. Randy dropping science. I love the chat all over it. Although some people are like, "What's a kilometer?"
Yeah, we saw that. Hold my beer.
Yeah, look, man, come on.
The see hello.
We're metric up in
Kilometer.
here. But I gotta point something out on Lucid because it matters. It's a trading show, so it's a weekly chart of Lucid, and I'm going to show you. This is January of 2022, and on a weekly chart, that was one of the last times that we've tested above the 50 period on a weekly. Now we zoom it in. Zoom, zoom, zoom. We're zooming it in, and we've been struggling above the 50 period on the weekly. What are we doing right now? We are breaking above the 50 period on the weekly. What it has not done, however, is sustain any of these breakouts. So it tried this before, test, break, test, break. But if we close above 365, this might be worth another shot. 21% short float, and clearly it's at a key level on that weekly chart. Now, obviously, if you're trading on a weekly basis, it's not like it breaks out 365 tomorrow and you go long. It needs to close above that by this Friday, and then you look for a trade next week. So on a daily chart, it kind of looks like an obvious level, but the weekly does look very interesting there on Lucid. And wow, Intel, what do we say about Intel at this point? Intel is just an absolute rocket ship. So we talk about that 26, 70 area on the daily chart. It just tagged it to the penny and then retested that high. So it hasn't really done any kind of a pullback off this. It's, as I said, it's a rocket. You want to be a little bit careful with this. Also keep in mind the market is doing a rebound as this is going on. So you're getting some strength coming back into the market. VWAP will sit at 22.2 on a NASDAQ. I think that's a good spot to look for some reversal trades in a general sense. My look right now is NVIDIA. not necessarily Intel. NVIDIA's been trending down. Ooh, this didn't stay. So since we broke VWAP here, it's been holding a general trend down. I guess it's not the best trend line in the world, but you get the idea. Been holding a general trend down that would need to curl underneath somewhere around the 140 level. So looking for that to find some resistance. If it never breaks this 13.9 and the NASDAQ gets to VWAP, I might just short this here. I'm going to give NVIDIA a chance to press a little higher before looking for the short trade. Chris Arns saying Palantir's now going. Had Palantir, oh, I'm missing some data. Ignore my VWAP because that'll be wrong because that data's gone. If it fills back in, I'll let you know. Had a curl trade on Palantir that I got trailed out of at 120 when we had it at 119. Palantir well above VWAP, making fresh highs. Not 52-week highs because it got to 125 earlier and pulled back. But it's still a blue sky setup for Palantir. You're above last week's highs. I think any dip into either prior high or support, that means 122.70-ish, or into 122. I think dip and rip for Palantir, it's just a different beast, man. When it gets bought up like this after a failed break this morning, it just goes to show you how much money is chasing Palantir right now. Because a failed all-time high break that just trends down all morning into a weak market to go green and be up 3%, it's telling you something. And what it's telling you is anytime the shorts think they have a leg up, they just get smacked down. Now you could make a pun about getting smacked down like the opening seconds of the hockey fight, but just imagine I made a joke about that at the expense of us Canadians, but I'm not going to, even though I just kind of did.
Yeah, man. It's this. I think right now I'm just kind of looking at both the ES and the Nasdaq here. 15-minute charts, a bit of a double bottom wick here at 21,100 on the Nasdaq. So we did get down to the hole. They're catching a bit of a bid here, but Neil, have you seen Micron at all today? So when it comes to chips, again, I have a basket that I have open, just looking at some of the more interesting chip names and maybe some of the top constituents of SMH. And I guess we can go through some of those in a bit. But Micron, oh boy, what a trend to the upside. Absolutely wild. So just 100 hold in the pre-market. So we finally did get past that 100. I did get an alert on Friday for Micron crossing 100 in the morning session. And I looked away. I was like, okay, all right. Well, it didn't really get through that 100. Maybe we're poised for a little bit of a pullback because we have been kind of bidding up there, but absolutely strong on the day today, looking very distinctly different from some of these other chip names. If you look at NVIDIA here, you can see that, again, distinctly different. We were talking about that VWAP pullback as well. But before we continue this talk, let's go see what Adara has to say.
I just want to remind everyone, Micron actually did have a catalyst this morning. I mentioned it this morning pretty much off the open here as we got to those 105s. But what happened here with MU is they did launch a new solid state drive related product. So MU with a new SSD product, quite the strong look on the day here, guys. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Dara. Yeah, so
great look.
It did have a catalyst.
Yeah, it did have a catalyst. But so one thing to keep in mind with Micron, as we were sort of saying this with regards to some of these moving averages, okay, the 200 period has been respected, but it's not even, it's been respected 200 period, but that's not necessarily where I think you run into a little bit of concern. It's this 110 to 115. Just look at all of the rejections here going back into July of last year here. So you've got over a half a year of sellers in this range. Buyers at 85.2. It's a very distinct range for Micron. Clearly, I think if it can break it out, you've got a lot of room into the highs, but this is the idea of a barcode. Until it decides to trade outside of this range, do you make the assumption it's going to break it? I don't know that you do if you're day trading or swing trading. I think you start with the assumption that it just continues to do what it does, and if we break out above 115, then go for it on that bad boy. Intel's on one right now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just, what are you going to do? It just continues to fly higher. There has not been any trend break. It just continues to go. I keep thinking we're going to get a reload on Rivian. I'm going to offer the high of the day, but there was a point when we were talking to Randy, or when Brennan was talking to Randy, it looked like we were going to get a reload off the 14 on Rivian. I've since canceled that bid. We'll just hang on. Play the next dip, maybe a higher low in here, like 14, 9s, 10s, 11s, something in this range if we're able to get it, and see if we can't ride that into the high. So it's looking pretty strong, but Intel will not stop. Anthony G, I'm with you, man. It just won't stop going. It's just going and going and going. Hood is apparently curling, according to Elizabeth Stott, as crypto was under a lot of pressure. Oh, and we just had some acceleration again. Adara?
Keep an eye here on INTC. I'm seeing a catalyst here from Bloomberg's reporting that Silver Lake, which is a private equity firm, apparently said to be near a deal for a stake in Altera, which is associated with Intel. So Intel acquired Altera back in 2015. Altera is independent as of 2024, but Intel does have a stake. Going back to November, we've heard rumors or whispers or reports that Silver Lake is looking for a multi-billion-dollar minority stake in Altera. Apparently, they're looking to combine with Bain, another buyout firm, for this. So keep an eye on INTC. Apparently, Silver Lake looking for a stake in their Altera. So keep an eye on INTC. Back to you.
There you go. More and more. Everyone's chomping at the bit here, and oh boy, keep getting that value.
I mean, I'm watching this tape. Like, this is absolutely beautiful, absolutely crazy kind of tape, and I'm just watching it. How much further can it go? I mean, much further, I guess, because the market's kind of strong as well, and this thing continues. Again, we talked about what kind of breakout this is. This is not only a daily breakout. It's not only a weekly breakout. We're talking about a monthly breakout above the 2640s, and let's see how much further the bid can go on the intraday. We kind of talk about it being up over multiple ATRs here. In the morning, we identified the ATR as $1.18 in and around there. I know different sources could have different kind of numbers. We're give or take, it's about a point and 20 pennies there on Intel, and off of the opening price. The opening price on Intel today was $24.60. Currently, we're trading at 26.80s. So almost a two ATR move there to the upside on Intel. So again, very, very strong going into the last hour of the day. Let's see what Power Hour has in store for us. And you guys already know how I'm looking at this. I know what you're trying to do. I mean, I know what I'm trying to do, but the question really becomes, is that trade on the table? Let me take off Micron and pull up Intel here so we can kind of take a look at it together. So yeah, absolutely aggressive there, holding that VWAP, holds the trend, and pushing up into more and more fresh highs right there. So close to that 27 mark, and we kind of talk about that prior consolidation low on the higher time frame being at the 29s. That's where we kind of left off at the end of the rundown there. So I do want to go back to that and take a look at some of those prices and what those prices are specifically. So yeah, some of these prior bars coming in here. This is a weekly chart. So this low right here from the week of the 22nd of May in 2023, the low is 26.32. So, but since then we've been doing a lot more action. We bid all the way up to $50.60. But this consolidation is what's interesting to me, because right here we sell off aggressively from 45s all the way down to 30. So 30, bit of a hold on the bid on 30 for over 10 weeks. These are 10 trading weeks. So we hold 30 on the bid on Intel. So definitely an interesting area. Question becomes, if we're breaking out of this level, do we magnet back up into this? Is this a classic case of support and resistance? And maybe there's just air on Intel, cannot compute all the way until $30 off of this breakout. So I have no idea if that's going to happen. Boom.
I think you ring the register when we get to 30.
Yeah.
I think if you haven't, like if you've been in Intel or you just got into it,
18.
it just bounced off the 18 level, whether you're a buyer in that low 20s, when it gets to that 30, it's just a great place technically to take profits. I'm going to throw another one out there. And I know this, it's weird. Like some of these things, the confluence gets a little bit out of hand. And how many charts have I pulled up saying, hey, look at this thing trending back up, getting into the 200-period moving average that's resisted it for a very long time that could be threatening a big breakout. Yeah. Mobileye. Guess who has a big stake in Mobileye?
Ooh. I wonder.
Guess what is 27% short? Guess what's almost... Okay, so all of this... See, what I should have done here, and this is the problem when you get 3.5 hours sleep, what I should have done is set all of that and then not be showing you a Mobileye chart, and then I would...
Yeah.
Just imagine I was being more dramatic about this and you didn't already see the chart in front of you. Yada, yada, yada. Look at Mobileye, everybody. This breaks $20 or closes above the 200 period on the daily, and we get spicy. 27% short float. Intel's always said they're not divesting this, but hey, man, if you're selling off everything else, why not unlock some... unlock some profit here as well. So I think this is a name to watch. They reported like a month ago, okay, maybe not a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think a few weeks ago they reported. So this one is past earnings. I think the catalyst would be people suspecting that Intel might sell their stake, or just some sympathy, some short squeezers, some shorts maybe getting out of this if it breaks the 200-period moving average. But this is a name that, while Intel is in play, this should be on some watch lists for sure. So strong day, only 5%, which seems like nothing when Intel's up 13% and Micron's up a bajillion percent, 7%. But yeah, this one needs to be watched, I think. And TX Trader saying there's no real levels on Intel. Yep. There aren't.
No.
There really aren't. It's just 25. There's here, there's where we're at. There was 25, and there is 30.
Yep.
So why wouldn't we fill in this gap? And as far as I'm concerned, we just look at the trend. It's so gentle, this trend. There's no parabolic. There's no parabolic move to short. There's no shakeout to try to go into a long. It's just a little bit intense. For Intel. Like I said, I don't like chasing up here, so I really don't plan on doing it. I still have the eyeballs on NVIDIA because, as I said, NASDAQ pulling into VWAP, NVIDIA giving you that classic rejection. As a matter of fact, we got close to VWAP there. We just wicked the 140. So I want to take a shot into NVIDIA. Just a little scalp trade, right? It's 3 o'clock right now, so I don't want to force anything. Just try and short this in here at the 140. The higher low is about 140.20. So it's a decent risk-to-reward opportunity in a stock that is, while up 0.8%, it's clearly relatively weak. If I can pick this one up at 140, did I offer exactly 140? I actually did. Usually I'll go to like 90, yeah, whatever, it doesn't really matter. So if we break that local high, break the quarters, I can jump out and wait for VWAP, but I just want to stick with the trend here. It was getting away from long and going short that worked, obviously, earlier here in NVIDIA. As long as the NASDAQ is underneath VWAP, I want to give it a chance to work again. Bongzilla saying SMCI won't quit. And Chef Joe as well. Yeah, SMCI, that's another one. Super strong name today. Don't forget, everybody, in 1 week today is the deadline for SMCI.
Yeah.
They need those earnings. I understand how strong it is right now, but there's a lot of risk every day that we get closer to the deadline if we don't actually see the earnings. It's just a little bit more risk in this rally.
Yeah, I'm curious to know why they're really kind of holding back on that. It's a little interesting, to say the least. But what do I know? What do I care? I just want to see what the price action does going into that date. Because if we can anticipate an event, I really like to observe, or I'm curious to observe what might be going on there. But another name I want to talk about while Intel continues to push highs and I wait for the bidders to step off is Procter Gamble. We talked about this earlier in the morning as well. Another one of my tickers from this morning's watch list. I honestly was looking for a continuation. Right, so we saw that aggressive kind of selling coming in on Friday morning, right off of the open. Again, this is P&G. This is a ticker that normally doesn't really experience this kind of volatility, and definitely showed up on a few of my scans here, giving us about almost 4%. Well, 3 to 4% drop on that initial opening drive from the open right into about 950. So within about 20 minutes of the open, we dropped down about 4%, bid back up into what seems like VWAP here. Yeah, right here. So VWAP right there, a bit of a failure to follow through, head and shoulders, whatever you want to call it right here. 165s can't really get through, closes at the day lows, showing us that, yes, sellers might be in charge on the day. So coming in today, I'm looking for the short. I'm looking for the short to see if sellers continue this back up. Where? Maybe through prior day low, maybe at VWAP, but take a look at what it does. It reclaims that VWAP. It actually lick grabs prior day low. Well, maybe not lick grabs. Prior day low is 62.30. We hit a low of 62.20. So, yeah, so we kind of, we're 10 pennies a little bit higher than that, but we reclaimed that VWAP, and we've been trending up, pretty much reverting all the way back. So this kind of reminds me of the ticker you were looking at earlier, SoundHound, because we had a strong flush, It made a range high, and then it flushed off later. What did it do the next day? It came back, it revisited that range. Sure, this is happening on a different time frame, but technically, we kind of grab a piece of the lows, and then we come in to retest those range highs. I'm curious to know, if we start to get below VWAP, does this ticker continue to the downside? But again, that's why I was looking at the bigger picture. So once I have that question in mind, I kind of want to go to the weekly and be like, all right, well, what is realistically the probability of us kind of really dumping on that? Is it realistic? Maybe not, because take a look at this. This trend has been holding since 2022, October of 2022 on Procter Gamble. Yeah, sure, we kind of are pretty choppy and it's very slow, maybe moves like molasses on the weekly chart, but has a gradual uptrend. Not only since then, this trend has been kind of strong since almost forever. Sure, in the past we've had some aggressive over 50% drops on this name. Yeah, that is adjusted prices. But yeah, nice little trend here on P&G. Didn't really work out. So again, today, I was talking to Wayne about this in the back earlier as well. I was just like, yeah, maybe today's a day to kind of, be observant. If you don't have the trade, you don't have good prices, maybe just, chill out. Next week is NVIDIA earnings.
Which is huge.
That is huge.
I forgot to show something.
Yes, what's up?
I promised I would show this. So for anyone that, if you weren't here in the morning and I was waxing poetically about my trip to Montreal this weekend, where my 5.5-hour train ride resulted in sitting in a train for 5.5 hours in the Montreal station, and then sitting in the train for another 6.5 hours for 12 hours the entire day yesterday. And a big shout out to Nintendo. Why? Because this was my daughter when we boarded the train. And she's all happy. And this was about at 10, we're supposed to leave at 10:49. It's about 10:40 a.m. And we're supposed to get back to Toronto at 4:20 when we're supposed to get back to Toronto. Whoops, oh no, it didn't reload. I have to find that picture again. I'm going to find I'll get it for you guys in a quick second. So you guys already saw it before. I am going to quickly do some magic where I load up the after again. And here is said picture. This is my daughter when we finally start. See how it's dark outside? We've now been sitting in the train for 5.5 hours and we are barely outside of Montreal, and she's happy because she did like a big score. Like that's her. The rest of us are just like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm so tired. I'm like, we're gonna get in at midnight. I'm gonna get no sleep. And she was so happy because she was crushing it on her Nintendo Switch. She's like, I'm so good, I'm going to start beating you, Daddy. I was like, I love you, sweetheart, but you're absolutely not going to beat me in Mario Kart. That's just, not there yet. Let's be real. She ain't beat me no Mario Kart.
So what you're telling me is that you need to get yourself a Switch as well.
I don't know, I just play her Switch, man.
But like for 5 hours, I mean.
No, I looked at some charts, I read some stuff.
Nintendo, right?
It was complete and it was intense. Let's just say it was definitely intense. But let's go to the desk with Adair. We've got some breaking news.
What we have here is another very long Bill Ackman tweet, but it actually has moved a stock today. The stock that has moved is Howard Hughes. Now, why is Howard Hughes moving after this Bill Ackman tweet? For context, Bill Ackman has mentioned trying to buy or get involved with here Howard Hughes, HHH. And then about 8 minutes ago, he posts this. If you know Bill Ackman, it's a pretty long post here on X saying that he wants Pershing Square to be equivalent to Berkshire Hathaway. And all of that is to say that he says at 4 p.m. today, he is going to announce, quote, a potential transaction which, if completed, will provide me and my firm the opportunity to create our own, you might say, modern day version of Berkshire. So Bill Ackman here teasing a transaction that will bring himself and Pershing Square to Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway status. That's coming at 4 p.m. Again, a lot of people expecting that this will be Howard Hughes. It's worth noting Howard Hughes getting volume here, but not a ton of volume. Only about 500,000 shares traded on the day. But also here, he said there's also going to be a presentation on X at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then also a formal part of the presentation on X Spaces. So we'll have to wait and see what transaction Bill Ackman thinks will bring him and Pershing Square to the level of Berkshire Hathaway. But for now, HH moving with volume. Back to you.
First thing, we're almost at 27 here on Intel, so I'm going to try a reversion on Intel through this level if we can get it. And I'll get to NVIDIA in a second, but I promised I would show another one.
Talking my language.
One more. For all of you guys that want us to be the, hey, look at that. Trade Ideas, President's Day sale, which is perfect because I was about to make a comment about the 51st state. If Canada, which is not going to become the 51st state, if we do, one of the best things you guys would get is poutine. And one of the best places to get poutine is in Montreal. And if you don't know what poutine is, it's great. It's just fries, gravy, and cheese. This is my daughter eating poutine for the very first time in her life in Montreal. Shout out to Biovac. They were absolutely amazing. This poutine was I'm not a big poutine person. Okay, Daddy had some of her poutine. She didn't finish all of that. But she was in her zone. And the crazy thing about it, and this is what I told her, she wanted to get their burger on their kids' meal, and she'd never had poutine before. They were literally out of beef, which I'm not sure how you're out of beef, but anyways, they didn't have the burger. Said, would you like to try the poutine? I explained it to her. She's like, I'll try it, Daddy. She was so happy, and this just goes to, like, let your kids try new things. Sometimes force them to try new things. You've never been so happy in your life. And I'm telling you right now, that poutine was fire. Absolute fire. Shout out to Biovac. You guys were amazing. Great restaurant. One more thing before we go back to Obi. Oh, yes. Okay, I'm going to segue into, in a quick second, if you give me the opportunity to remain, to the Trade Ideas President's Day sale, everybody. That's right. Everybody wants to get 25% off. Of course you do. And then buy some poutine with your savings because the savings are real here. Get 22% off all new subscriptions with code TraderTV22. But wait, Obi, there's more. Ooh. Upgrade to premium annual and snag a massive 28% off with code TraderTV28. That's how simple they make it for you, everybody. That's right, huge savings for everyone out there, and they're happening now. Head to the 2025 President's Day sale landing page, link below, before February 19th. Do not miss out. Take your trading, we always say to another level, but those savings will allow you to, like I said, to buy some extra poutine, have a lot of fun there. But shout out to Trade Ideas, scan the QR, check the link in the video, and check out Trade Ideas while that sale lasts. Traded TV 28, easy to remember, everybody. And yes, everyone does have to try poutine if you've never had it.
Where was that again?
Biovac.
Biovac. Okay.
I forget the name of the hotel that they were in. Oh, we just wicked the 28 level. Okay,
I saw that. 27.
Yeah,
I'm watching it.
27 level. I meant 27.
It's slowing down, but here's the thing. This is what happened on that 26 push as well. So because we're so strong on the day, I don't know. I really do want the reversion, but
yes, you do.
I don't know. I want to be a little bit more patient. Just like, yeah, sure, we grab the level, but the thing is, we're still holding within 90s. The risk is beautiful because if you're risking today high 2703s, you're punching in 98s. There's enough liquidity to get some decent size in, and I see the block boys hitting the bid like that. But the thing is, 03s that can come in pretty easily. There it is right there. 03s once again at 05. So you're getting stopped out on that push. And again, there's no real trend break. I'm looking for a reason to sell because I know the long is so good. And I'm like, if I was in this long, that's the mental I'm trying to assume. It's like if I did this really well and if I was patient earlier on in the day and I waited, if I wanted the continuation, okay, sure, maybe don't sell anything, but wait for the VWAP to come in. And when it shows you, then you can get really aggressive for the push, and it shows you, it gives it to you. And now, am I selling that position just yet? Maybe, but as of right now, this is an aggressive trend off of a breakout through 2620s, 2630s, 2640s, prior daily highs as well. So I'm going to be a little bit more patient. Let's see how we wash this 27 level if we do, and if we start to break trend. Again, it's 313 right now, Neil. So with only just over 45 minutes left, how much of a pullback can we really have? Are we going to get down to VWAP? That's all the way down here at 2580s. Where's my VWAP on here? 2584. So that's literally about an ATR lower. So I don't think that's, it could happen, but I don't know if I want to give that a high probability as of right now with the limited information that's given to us on the chart. But like we said, there's pretty much no levels all the way up until 30. You can go back and look at some prior levels as well, but 3 points on Intel, I don't know if it's going to be able to do that currently. Right now, I have the relative volume on a 3-minute on Intel clocking in at roughly around 1.5, 1.6, and that's a 5-period RVol indicator for anybody who's wondering what the settings for that indicator is. But yeah, no, let's see what we do with that 27. Absolutely crazy. Definitely was my #1 idea on the table for today. And a little bit of a fumble, Neil, but you know what? It is what it is. Beautiful learning experience nonetheless. I think that I definitely didn't, I was pretty good with my risk. Maybe I wasn't good with my position management as much today, but I think that there was a lot of lessons here on Intel today, which I do think are very valuable, regardless of whether I'm red or green on the day. I think this knowledge definitely means a lot more to me. And again, beautiful continuation. We saw that gap up above prior days. We see the VWAP hold. We see the aggressive pullback of the morning session, failure to follow through of 26, come back into VWAP and shows us, like, I don't know, I felt pretty confident punching in when the tape turned right here on top of that VWAP, going back in above that $25 level. So I think that this was definitely a textbook continuation. Did I perform as well as I could have? Definitely not. But did I learn some strong lessons? Absolutely. So I think that there's a held offer there, some size at 26.90s. Let's see what this level has in store for us after we get back from Madeira.
This part of the show is brought to you by Firefly Neuroscience. With an FDA-cleared proprietary database of over 77,000 brain images, Firefly is transforming healthcare with AI-driven diagnostics, providing a clear, data-backed understanding of brain health. After more than a decade and over $60 million in investment, Firefly is advancing the commercialization of its Brain Network Analytics, or BNA, platform, bringing the technology to clinicians and pharmaceutical partners. Firefly is enhancing the diagnosis and treatment of conditions such as depression, dementia, anxiety disorders, concussions, and ADHD, while also accelerating drug discovery and early screening for conditions like Alzheimer's. Back to you.
Thank you very much there, Adara. So look, Intel, it's trying to actually, all right, I'm going to get to, all right, so this is Rivian off trend. If this breaks the trend up, it's near the high of the day. If we break this trend up, I'm going to get out. My trail is moving to 25s. And I don't know if we're going to get another shot at VWAP here on Rivian. We're running out of time to do so. But as Obi mentioned, I don't know if you drew, but like this is a pretty distinct trend line since the test of the high. So there's your test of the high. There's your trend line. It's curling right now. It just wicked the 27 level. This is, I think, the one shot at the reversion. So we close underneath that trend line, which I'm drawing from this candle here at 209, connecting to the one here at 239. It's kind of easy to follow on a 3-minute, just in case you're curious. We break under that. I'm looking for the short. NVIDIA is slowly, this. It's not falling like a rock, but rolling over from that 140. I'm looking at 139. Look, it's a double bottom at 139 on NVIDIA, and it is the high, like Friday's high. I almost keep want to say yesterday. Not even close. Friday's high 139. You've already supported it twice. I see every reason why you support it again. So the short is into that 139 level. With only 30 minutes till the imbalances come in here, I think our shot is going to be, well, as quickly as I said that, through the order, put our trail in Rivian, put our order for take profit after scalping some out of NVIDIA, getting ready for Intel to break trend, only to have Intel once again bounce off the trend line and go higher.
It never broke trend.
It did. No, it did.
I'm looking at it on multiple different frames right now. There's no trend that's been broken.
Intel.
And currently, we're printing fresh up.
Okay, so you think we open at, okay, so high, what do you think?
Who had the Intel
26 or 28 tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I say 30.
Well, I'm not, okay, but okay, fine.
That's because I just wanted to get there faster so I can take.
Do you really think it gets 30 tomorrow? I think that's a bit rich.
I mean, 3 ATR overnight, it depends. Maybe catalyst driven.
Unless there's another news story.
Is accelerating, right? We're breaking out on expanding volume, and we're pushing up on lighter volume, which I kind of like that.
This stock is on.
And yeah. We talked about this before. When a breakout happens, some volume is done, and then the price continues to trend above that like volume chunk, that might be a little bullish. Maybe you can give that higher probability for continuation if you see that piece of price action, but that's what it's showing us right now. And the next level is 30. So I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea.
I think 30.
I'm going to stay patient. I'm going to try to stick to my guns. And
the close above the 200
patient.
period tells me it's heading to 30. I'm skeptical for tomorrow. It's up 15% today. So really, you're not talking about an outlandish move. It's been doing this every day. And then look at the volume. It's on volume. It's been doing this every single day. I just don't wonder if there isn't the consolidation day in there somewhere for Intel. What an absolute beast. Like, I want to be, candidly speaking, I've been long this stock for a while. So like since it dumped, you've been either, I wish I could tell you I had like 19s or something like Katina does, but the last time I had bought this thing was off the 50 period hold. So that's more like a 22. And I had some from way back when at 25. Which for me was all about the foundry play. And if they're going to spin that off, that's why it's a ring the register at these levels for me, because if the spin off is happening and all of a sudden that's going to roll somewhere else, then there's no reason to hold on past that. Yeah, no reversion yet for Intel. NVIDIA working, Rivian still working. Before we go back over to Adara, just going to quickly point out, yeah, Nikola, okay, so basically where we're short, Nikola, it keeps on bouncing and holding this 75, so it's like 79 to 75 every single time. It's going to be able to get out of this. Doesn't seem like it wants to break any lower, so I should cover. 39% up, and it's holding higher lows. This is one I should probably be getting out of. Let's go over to Adara.
You have Occidental earnings tonight, and one notable holder of Occidental is a man by the name of Warren Buffett, or rather his company, Berkshire Hathaway. So Occidental was one of 5 major positions that Warren Buffett did add to. These percentages show the quarter-over-quarter increases in their positions. So between Q3 and Q4, they added 86.5% to their Domino's Pizza position. So they almost doubled their stake. They added about 1.5 times here for their Pool Corp position, Sirius XM, they added about 11%, VRSN, and Occidental, both about 3.5% quarter-over-quarter increases when it comes to their share size for these positions. So Occidental earnings tonight, check those out. You can check out this graphic on X at TTV Research. And I also think it's interesting to talk about Buffett now, because we know Bill Ackman just shared a post where he said that the potential deal that they're teasing at 4 p.m. Eastern on X is apparently gives him the potential to become the next Warren Buffett. So keep an eye on that graphic with regards to Bill Ackman and his potential acquisition. A lot of people are expecting it will be Howard Hughes. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that for you guys. Back to you.
Mr. Ackman, so for anyone if you've been around the markets but not long enough to have seen the back and forth between Carl Icahn and Bill Ackman, it was.
I think I recently watched a video on that. Yeah,
it was good. It was. Yeah. It was one of those kind of moments where. Yeah. I don't know. I guess you really got to be in the market to see a couple of millionaires or billionaires go at it like they did. It got very personal.
Yeah, they did.
It got very, very personal.
This was on that CNBC interview?
Yeah, it was on CNBC. Yeah, there was. It's interesting to see.
I never called you my friend.
Yeah, it's weird to see stuff like that. I feel like there's like a mini version of that happening with Elon and Sam Altman maybe, but maybe not to the same extent. Both obviously juggernauts in their day. Whatever happened to that? Remember that Icon Enterprises, IEP? Oh, anyway.
Icon, like the ticker icon?
No, IEP.
I remember the ticker
I remember
icon.
it kind of going, I remember this thing going nuts for a bit and then just getting rugged. Did that recover? Not really. Oh yeah, that Icon Enterprises, this thing got rugged. I never knew what the deal was with this. I feel it's like what was in it, and there's a lot of skepticism. When Perma Bull Jim Cramer was like, I don't know, what are you supposed to do with this? He's like, I don't trust it. Like, he didn't trust it either, but yeah, okay, never mind. This thing never got off the schneid again. So Uncle Carl did very well for himself and always has, but this IEP never did well. I did roll out of Rivian. It got to the high, broke that little trend underneath the 14 quarter, running out of time to get another dip into VWAP. But sometimes the easiest trade is strong stock. You want to do a trend reversion? Well, revert it when it pulls back and the trend is up. So you had, like Obi says, revert the reversion, VWAP, prior close, and trend break. 3 things we like. It gives you an easy structure for a trade. Once you break the trend, throw the stop at the prior low. It's a 04 entry with a 99 stop. It's like 5 cents worth of risk. The high of the day, we didn't get to the high of the day there, but sort of trend it out, get some 1-to-1, get some like 3-to-1, and then just hold the rest. Try to break that high. It never happened. Nvidia's still looking okay. Nikola I'm working out of. And Intel, I suppose we're not breaking this trend. It just goes higher and higher and higher. Showtime won. That's what it was. You're right about this. IEP was a Hindenburg short report. I knew there was something about that I was forgetting. No, but you're right. IEP was a Hindenburg short report. Got absolutely smoked.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for that. I mean,
I think
hopefully no one got plugged in that.
I think I remember that was not part of our not on the system that day or something, or.
It was possible we couldn't trade. There's something about it.
I think it was one of those tax law things. It's interesting that this is not the first time we weren't able to trade a Hindenburg hit because of tax laws, and that is been recurring a little bit. And I'm just like, what if that's something they might look at? What if that plays a factor? I don't know, but. Tinfoil hat, tinfoil suit, I have no idea, but an interesting pattern nonetheless.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, like we're not allowed to touch it, and I'm like, this is some of the best catalysts. Very directional. People are only hitting the bid. Why can't I trade this? This is such a straightforward trade. It's very defined a risk.
It's like the other day.
It's just like, and I can't even touch it. I'm like, bruh.
Last week, we were talking in the kitchen. It was just a few traders, and I think it was Joe or Jose, even though his name is... This dude's name is Joe, and everyone on the floor called him Jose for a while.
Yes.
To the point where, I didn't...
He is Jose.
To the point where I used to call him Jose. I had no idea because everyone on the floor would just call him Jose, and he never corrected us.
Wayne came up with this.
Yeah, so Wayne just made this up, and so now in my head I'm trying to remember his name is really Joe, and it's not Joe on the show. It's another guy in the algo room. And he asked me, what's the biggest trading opportunity you've ever seen as a day trader? And I was like, oh, that's easy. There was a closing trade on a Brazilian stock that had turned from one of the biggest names in Brazil to a penny stock. And I'll never forget the opportunity. It was the biggest one I've ever seen. I was ready to max my entire BP on it. And the reason why no one got to take it is because they closed that stock 5 minutes early. The Bovespa closed the stock that was the biggest shorting opportunity I've ever seen at a close 5 minutes early. And did we know about it? Nope. And to this day, I'm just like, yeah, sometimes that's how it is. We talk about the market being rigged, but sometimes it really is what it is. So SMCI is approaching high of the day. There's no reversion on Intel. You've got to be kidding me. It just goes higher and higher. Like the trend continues. It just broke another high of the day. SMCI is also going for the high. It just broke 55. This might be a little bit more interesting. Oh, never mind. No, it didn't break the high of the day. So SMCI is at the high of the day for a 55.30 break. The second that trend breaks, I am taking a shot at a reversion, even if it's just a quick scalp trade on Intel. But here comes the high on SMCI. I'll look for it to do a false break because I don't want to take a breakout at 330. And if it does a false break, pull back into this top, 54.80 to 55. Look to buy that dip. Nvidia is still working. Although I might need to move my trail on NVIDIA in just a little bit as that's starting to work to the downside. Nikola, remember I tell you that's not really moving. So let's see if it does a false break here. 55.3, the prior high here on SMCI. Intel, the second it breaks that trend, I'll go short, but we've been saying that for a while.
Yeah,
Intel now 16%.
Yeah, I mean, it just keeps going. It's just, we talk about a buyer on the stock, whatever it is, algos, participant, whatever you want to call it. If you've been watching the tape on Intel, every drop of 5 to 10 pennies continues to get bid up. Now again, you can look at it on a shorter time frame. You can look at it on the minute chart as well. You can see that it just incrementally just bids up, bids up, bids up. Drops on the bid, holds, and then pushes back up as well. If you're looking at my screen here, a lot of the prints that you're going to see are straight up midpoints, the yellows, and then greens with a little sprinkle of red. Maybe you get waves of red in the middle. That's when you get that 5 to 10 penny drop. And then picks right back up mid, and then continues the green bid. And it's like, all right, well, it's grinding to the upside here on Intel. So yeah, I definitely don't want to short this kind of action. It's beautiful. Like, funny enough, sometime last year, if I saw this action, I probably would have shorted it so many times by now, Neil. And I think that's definitely something I've improved on is grinding action.
Yes.
I do not want to initiate positions necessarily, at least the reversions. Sure, continuation, maybe there's something there, but I definitely don't want to initiate a fade on grinding action. I don't want to fade grinding action. That's definitely one of my rules now, for sure. And if it's going to break, you're going to see that grinding action kind of cut off and start to behave differently. And I'm just watching, honestly, I'm watching this into the close. We got about 30 minutes left, and I don't really have any more trades on the table for me just yet, but we'll see. You know, I got to stay patient. I got to see if anything falls into my lap. I'm more than willing to grab it and maybe take that opportunity there. Applied Materials, day 2 earnings today, and continuing to slowly grind up as well. So that's another ticker here. Wow, are we going to hit 2750s? This is starting to accelerate, Neil.
It's insane.
Absolutely beautiful. If you guys have level 2 or tape right now,
you're watching levitation.
Yeah, you're just. I think this is a good watch here. You know, I feel like I'm watching. Is this how people feel when they're watching sports?
Yes.
This is really exciting. I'm just like, you know, buyers, sellers, supply.
This is
demand,
why
prior
people
levels,
talk about
moving average.
This is what people talk
anchored
about
VWAP.
sports being like.
Let's go.
This is sports.
Probabilities.
This is as close to
know.
sports as you get because
Go
the market is the exact same rules every single day. It's like it's like in basketball, right? Like rim same height, court same distance. All the teams are the same. The stocks you trade are the same stocks.
Except in the market, the lines on the 3-point might change. The net might warp shape.
But in a general sense, the gateways you trade on are still the same. Like it's the principle that
the mechanics are
the market opens at the same time. The mechanics are the same. The participants, in a general sense, are about the same. But then every single day, it plays out a little bit differently. Just because it's a good stock doesn't mean it goes up. Just because MJ was great doesn't mean he's going to win. Yeah, I'm set MJ, not LeBron, because that's how I roll. But Intel, this is the power of having execution rules. And I'm telling you, man, like only taking trades when they do a reversion when it's like this, give yourself an entry point. Like either it breaks this trend underneath and you short it, break this trend underneath and you short it. At least that way, if you're looking for a short and screaming stock, you're only taking the shot where there's some kind of reasonable expectation that it might work. Otherwise, it's just nonsense. SMCI, you got to be kidding me. It tried to dip. So it tried to dip. I was sitting at 54. Now I'm just going to pull down my black chart there. I was sitting right in there at like 54.95, try to get into this prior high, and then it just pressed the highs again. What this move is doing, however, is making me. All right, I'm just gonna. Yeah, I was about to move my trail on NVIDIA. I'm just punching out. Why? Because if we're going to take this into the 140, then I can already see what happened when it kind of trended down, when the market just bounced, when everything is flying. This closed above the trend line, and I hadn't moved my trail, so I'm just punching out of the trade. Is what it is. It's a green stock in that it's up on the day, but NVIDIA has been relatively weak. And this just comes down to I was looking longs on NVIDIA today. I am up on NVIDIA because I eventually went short. It's that simple. It just started, it was weak. I didn't even start shorting it till it did the big flush through the low and then gave you the VWAP retracements. Even when it doesn't work, it's still giving you something, not a lot. And SPF, that's also true. I said MJ because I'm old. That's fine too. But I think the analogy to sports, that's one that always made a lot of sense to me. And now Intel does it. All right, there it is. Intel is now going to, I don't know why I keep having to redraw this. It broke the steep trend line, but it has yet to break the trend since 2 o'clock. So if you're looking for the steep trend break, which is just this high on a 3-minute, it already did that. I wanted to break the actual trend tear that we've been on for the entirety of this afternoon. And if anything, it just bounced off it again. I think if it can hold underneath there, I think that's where it makes a little bit of a turn. And then, like we said, give yourself a reason. If you shorted it here, you could have shorted it from that high into the other trend line, which I think is the deeper trend. If it breaks that bottom, it looks like we could have a reversion. I don't know about VWAP That's a long way away. Certainly down into like 26.7, thinking aloud, like that consolidation area there. Don't want to draw another line. That's what I would look for. So we're going to be watching Intel very, very closely. I think that's the next opportunity with only about 27 minutes to go. And I see you in the chat, a few people mentioning my Palantir chart's still not working. Missing some data there. But 123.5 for a potential break on Palantir. But you see Palantir going sideways. It's a strong stock. I just feel like Intel's the more obvious one. It makes so much more sense here. If you're going to take a shot at something, I think there's going to be a trade here that gives you a breakdown. If it breaks this trend line somewhere around 27.10, the prior bar high, relative risk to reward because of how much it's moved, I think makes a lot of sense here. As that high there at 27.50 was it. Yeah, we got up for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I got up for 2 seconds there. I was just like, all right. Well, yeah, no, a bit of a trend break here, but you know what?
Bit.
It is what it is right here. But yeah, potentially where could you have gotten in? I don't know. I think that even in this consolidation, maybe 30. So we're almost, we're still kind of close to there. But yeah, last 30 minutes of the day, and this is the first. Currently, this is with about 25 minutes left. This is the first red 30-minute candle since 12:30, since we held that VWAP here on Intel. Let me pull this up here on Intel. Take off some of these lines so we can see it a little bit better. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart, put it on full screen right here so you can see. Throw VWAP back up on there. So this right here. 12:30, green off of the first strong pullback off of the acceleration off the open, that morning drive, absolutely beautiful through that 25 pre-market highs at 25.25s, prior day highs in and around there as well. Prior day's pre-market highs is 10 pennies away from that. You take out all of those levels, pull back into VWAP, don't even get back down there. But since then, we've been catching a nice, slow and grindy bid. And you're talking, NVIDIA's coming in as well?
Everything's coming in.
So, okay, we're selling a little bit there, going to the close. So 50 pennies lower there on Intel. And it's, you know what? It's okay. I got up because I, had to... nature called for about 2-3 minutes, and we got the reversion. So the timing on that is absolutely, how would they say, classic. So where's the next trade? That's the question now.
It's still not over.
It's still not over. Well, now technically I want to look for a bid to make a lower high to get in, right? So we'll see. Still about 25 minutes left. Like I said, not really looking at too much else as of right now to really take into the close. Maybe we get some strong imbalances. Maybe there's some trades in and around there. But as of right now, I'm sitting here just being patient. Honestly, just watching this price action on Intel, and Intel has been. I've been kind of taking some, I think, some good notes over the past couple of days for continuation, like building on the continuation playbook, building on reversion playbooks, using Intel as a bit of a guide to kind of show me that. And yeah, no, it's been a good ticker for trading, I think. It's been a good ticker for opportunity. But how long will that last? I have no idea. It's almost at that $30 level here. Again, closing strong. Even if we close up here in and around 27s, that's still a very strong close, even though we pull back 50 pennies and then bid back up another 20 there on Intel. A bit of a hold of that 27. You can see that 27 definitely held a little bit on the bid there for quite longer than some of the sell-off was hitting into the bid. So let's see if that continues going into the close. Again, getting really close to those imbalances, Neil, and I see that you took a little bit of a scalp.
Well, I think it's not the top because obviously you had to get that like wick up there at 27.50. But we did break the the long trend was broken on the way down. Good luck. When it closes that bar at like 27 even, so I let it press back into the prior high. Because it's so tight to the end of the day, this is not a give it to the high situation. I think that's a little reckless. With only about 12 minutes to go to the imbalances, I fully expect Intel to have an imbalance over 1 million shares. Probably, it's done 235 million. I expect it to be a rather large imbalance, maybe a few million shares. And whichever direction it goes, I want to make sure I have a tight stop. So I'm giving it to just above the quarter, about 15 pennies worth of risk. We're sitting at just underneath that 1-to-1 at 27, and then we're going to get some 26.80s and then let it fly, see where it can go from there. I said 26.70 to 26.60 would be a good range. But if we are locked and loaded and ready to go,
yes,
then traders, Listen up, everybody. Why? Because the first month is free over at eSignal. They are waiving fees. So trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite trading experience. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. The platform's got everything, everybody. When we talk about the infinite data, we talk about the reliable data. We talk about all the back testing available to you for every indicator you might want. You're able to customize your charts the way you want them to work. With the tick replay, you have the ability to go back, see how you could have executed your trades in real time, maybe a little bit better, so you can make fast, lightning, quick decisions and insights you're able to gather there. Like I said, the back testing is a big deal. There's an API you can connect so that you can automate trading strategies. You're able to connect to multiple brokers as well, so you can automate your trading or make your trading very simple. So a big shout out to eSignal. That is not it. So scan the QR code that was there, but it's not there anymore, or check the link in the description. Big shout out to eSignal. I know my trade rate right now on eSignal. Any guesses what symbol's been popping off? I'll give you no guesses. Top is Intel. It's that simple. On my hot list, it's Intel, NVIDIA, and SMCI. IQ apparently moving as well. But what do you think's flying around? SMCI just made a fresh high at 56, so that's flying. Intel, which we just took the reversion, it just got to 27. Now it's threatening that high again. You know what? I'm not at the point of moving this stop at 25, but if we bounce off 27 again, I'm going to tighten that stop up again. Another 5 pennies or so. So with 10 minutes to go, Nikola, what in the heck is this stock's not doing anything? Yeah, Nikola, again, there's a good reversion, but look at it hold. Someone's holding 75 on Nikola, so I'm just going to get out 76s if we can. So just one note on Nikola here. I don't know if this stock's making a bottom, but it looks like it might be. And the fact it's holding a higher low, going to be on the watch tomorrow for potential breakout here on Nikola. But yeah, the reversion underneath 80 cents really doesn't, it gave the first move was good, but it held on to the prior highs. So watch out for this day 2 play, maybe taking out that top and making a run at $1 tomorrow. I think it's worth watching. So many names, I know we pulled up so many charts today of stocks that look like they're getting off some lows. Yeah. Challenging 200 period moving averages. It just feels like we're having that kind of a rally. And Nikola, I'm not here to tell you anything positive about the long term. Like the stock company, they're a going concern. Like, are they going to be able to continue is a legitimate question, but it doesn't mean there aren't relief rallies. For it to break out and make a run at $1 is not impossible, even though I was looking short today. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see if that one keeps rolling down the hill, but it makes sense. You like that one? I like it. Of course I like it. It makes sense that Intel's at the top of that list. I just did a bit of a calculation here real quick. Just dollar volume that has pushed through Intel on the day, because I took a look at the volume traded. We're currently trading 236.7, 0.8. It's starting to grow. There it is, blasting to the upside. So almost 237 million shares traded. So that's over $6 billion of traded volume if you take it off the off of VWAP there. But yeah, a lot of volume getting pushed around on Intel as it breaks through those highs. So we kind of talked about that multi-day breakout, higher time frame breakout, and we're seeing the confirmation of volume, expanding volume coming into the ticker through some of those breaks. So yeah, it definitely makes that $30 level very, very interesting here. Again, about 9 minutes left until some of these imbalances come out, and Intel is pretty much holding that $27 level, man. Like I said, I think there's a lot of value in maybe watching this close on Intel here. There goes my alarm for imbalances. So nice. Nice. Yeah, no, I remember there was a couple times where I think I was in the kitchen, or I wasn't really watching, I wasn't paying attention, and I missed the imbalances. I'm like, that cannot happen ever again. So it's easy fix, throw up an alarm so you know when imbalances are coming near. So solve that issue right there. But now we're watching these imbalances coming in. Nothing too crazy as of right now on the early look here. But yeah, let's see how it comes in. We were talking about Meta potentially being an interesting ticker going into the close today. Let's take a look at what Meta has been doing. Yeah, but it broke the trend. I feel it was disappointing. But here's the thing, Neil. That's this is on a 30-minute chart. That trend is more than intact on Meta there. 15-minute. Yeah, it's starting to slow down. It's starting to slow down. Yeah, we have a bit of a held level here, 706s, but could be interesting. I don't know, up or down.
both ways, I think that some of these levels have been marked pretty cleanly here. We got 715s here. We got the day lows at 706s. Maybe that will give us something going up into the close here. But yeah, you can see it's still doing some relative volume. This is the first day that that Meta has actually caught an aggressive sell. We were talking about how it was like always, it was on the news for multiple days. You could see it on all over social media. Oh, Meta has a 10-day green streak. Meta has a 15-day green streak. Absolutely wild. Wow. And first day that it kind of starts to sell off aggressively. Look at how aggressively we've sold off. Currently, off of those pre-market highs that we made, to the day lows, we pulled back about 4.4%. So about 33, almost 33 points from that high to that low, 32.70 to 72 to be exact. But yeah, given around the rough ballpark figure of that 4.5% pullback there on the break of a short-term trend. But take a look at this, Neil. On a higher time frame, let's go, you know what, let's not do that. Let's go to a 3-hour chart and take a look at this. Still, yeah, we accelerated on that trend, but you can see strong pullbacks in the past have been bought up over the past couple of months. So let's see if that continues to be the case here on Meta as the futures continue to print fresh highs. So this thing had been running, and yeah, we're taking a little bit of a relief here, a bit of a pullback off of that high of 340.91, currently trading, 740.91, currently trading at 710s here on Meta. So yeah, with only about 6 minutes left to go, I'm going to be curious as to how the imbalance on Meta comes out as well. So going to have an eye on that one.
I'm thinking it's going to be NVIDIA and Intel lead the imbalance.
Yeah.
I think
it's going to be one of the top.
I think it's the lowest hanging fruit. We took our one shot on the reversion on Intel, but it's as quick as you like. It gave us one out on a third. I'm going to stick whether we got wicked out, even if it pulls back from here, I'm not breaking rule. We get our in. There's my out. We wicked it by exactly 1 cent. There's only 4 minutes to go to imbalances. I'm not re-entering that trade. It's a very specific setup. It either works or it doesn't. And we got one out only. Again, I still think it might go, but it's not one where I'm going to take it out in front of the imbalances. Because if it comes out of buy imbalances, it runs the high. If it comes out of sell, well, we would have been fortunate if we were sitting in that short trade. But again, take your shot based on an execution strategy. I was waiting for a very specific thing to happen. At least it did. I do want to go back over to Gaurav just mentioned Nike, and I know we didn't really trade Nike today, but this was one of the names on our watch list and rundown talking about this morning. Another 6% up. I will point this out. This was one of the names I was mentioning about that 200-period moving average and trying to find a bottom on Nike. It's not there yet, but if you look at this stock, from about last year, beginning of 2024, beginning of last year, it's been riding the downside of the 200-period moving average, and you're basically one good day away from testing that at $81. Well, I think that's short in that level until proven otherwise. If it ever closes above that 80, then I think you got some opportunity. So I think there's an opportunity there. Upcoming on Nike for sure. What's that?
I didn't even notice Nike was that strong. Like that is a clean trend all day long.
When Intel's up 17, whatever the heck it is, SMCI is up 16%. Intel's up a bajillion percent. It's hard for Nike to stand out, but it's a very good looking.
I mean, it definitely got some footing there off the open.
And look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA just went red on the session. Yuck, NVIDIA. There it goes. Low of the day just broke on NVIDIA. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Obviously no good. We flipped the short but didn't hold on to it, so that sort of is what it is. Showtime says easy $80 on Nike tomorrow. I think it's got a shot, but look at that daily chart, man. If it doesn't break that 200 period, I think you're running into trouble. 2 minutes to go. In terms of the imbalances, the early looks got FXI. We've seen this before. It's just an ETF. It did not move the market when it had a 4 million buy imbalance last week. I suspect it will not today. That's Archers from the morning, so no worries there. Nike, 1.2 million to the buy side, early look. And TSM, 1 million to the sell side, early look. Those are the two that would stand out for me. Nike, buy, TSM, early look, sell. Just because the early look imbalances are one way doesn't mean it will come out that way. But it does give you an idea. Like if you happen to be long Nike, maybe you'd want to hold some into the imbalance in case it comes out of buy, and then conversely with TSM. I'm going to have the eyes on NVIDIA. I'm going to have the eyes on Intel, just simply because those are the two most active names. But if you're looking at the numbers right now, I'd say Nike and TSM are going to stand out. So right at the same level where I got out on Intel, I'm not taking a trade unless it's after 350. And even then, the algos might get the best of it. When you try to punch in on an imbalance, understand that the algos have pretty much capitalized that trade.
Yep.
And oftentimes, your best opportunity might be it comes out big one way, look for it to flip or pair down at 355, and then take a reversion at that particular time. It's a little more viable than trying to get in at 350 if you happen to see a big number.
Yeah, I think, again, that's what we're waiting for right now here on some of those bigger names. Intel, sorry, not Intel. Wow, Intel's the only thing on my mind today. But NVIDIA, quadunking to the downside as of right now. Nice little trend. Again, I have this 30-minute chart up, but yeah, absolutely beautiful here. Even on, you go down to a lower time frame, we kind of broke this day low. And I was looking at, I think it was earlier, I'm like, okay, well, some of these tickers start breaking their range lows, and I was like, oh, maybe Microsoft is going to be the last one to kind of come in. And that one did eventually kind of break its day low, but catching a bid right back up into VWAP, towards VWAP at least, only about 60 pennies away, and only about 30 seconds left for some of these imbalances to come out, Neil. So yeah, let's see what happens. I'm waiting for anything significant, anything too crazy that stands out. We'll be more than willing to kind of let you guys know here. But WBA held that VWAP. Again, we had that bit of a catalyst, bit of a bid coming in the morning session right here. I've had it on watch pretty much all day to see whether or not this bid is going to be real, because if the deal is back on, maybe we do catch a multi-day move on this ticker. But VWAP has held quite well in and around that 1060 mark here on WBA. All right.
NVIDIA sell 2.4 million, Intel sell 1.5 million. So I'd say small imbalance for Intel, relatively speaking. NVIDIA, that's on the cusp. But here's the key why NVIDIA doesn't matter to me. 2.3 million to sell, almost 8 million paired off. So that paired number is rather big. It's not a huge chunk of the actual imbalance. So the interest is about 10 million on the close, and it's 2.3 million to the sell side. That's not gigantic, but it was already trending down. I think that's the key thing. If NVIDIA wasn't at the low of the day, maybe you look short, but it's already at the low, pressing lower, not punching the bottom of the day on an imbalance. And Intel 1.5 million sell. Like I said, that's not big. When it's done 240 million. That's not enough to look for a short in Intel. But as far as NVIDIA goes, it's, oops, I literally just said NVIDIA and typed Intel. That's how much Intel's on.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
Already at the low of the day. Yeah. Ooh, NVIDIA. You trailed me out, and that was the spot. But that imbalance not big enough. I think if anything, at 355, if NVIDIA pairs off, you could get a nice little bounce trade. Where it'll be in 4 minutes, hard to predict. But I'm pretty much never punching a low of the day. If it was a much larger imbalance, I think that would be a different story. But again, most of it paired off here for NVIDIA. We'll keep an eye on that to see if it does change for us. Oh, by the way, SMCI, while you were sort of sleeping a little bit, SMCI, 17% up. 17% for SMCI. My goodness, if they don't report next week. I'm just saying, like, if they don't report, then there's a lot of people that have bought recently. I think most of there's probably a lot of short covering on SMCI, so it might not be that bad, but there's a lot of buying exuberance going on in SMCI, and the deadline is 1 week today. So it's put up or shut up time for them every single day until we get a report. Yikes.
Yeah, I think, again,
that's a scary one, man. It's a scary one.
Yeah,
it's great for anybody that's been long. It's been a double up recently, but I think, you ring the register in situations like this so that you can let a piece of it ride in case the worst happens.
Yeah, I think that again the question becomes I don't know much about this, but if they don't report, what happens to the ticker? Do they get halted? Do they stop trading? Do they are they up for delisting? I have no idea, but again, should be interesting to see what SMCI kind of does coming into next week. And again, I think going into NVIDIA earnings and again at the end of the month as well, a little bit of a rebalancing act happening on at the end of the month. They're definitely. I think it's for me at least. I think it's a good idea to kind of manage risk, maybe not put on too much risk unless that A+ trade or maybe even a B+ kind of just falls into my lap and is like, all right, well, this is what it is. You're going to take it or not. And Intel was definitely one of those trades this morning. But I was, again, we talk about being a little too aggressive. I was definitely a little too aggressive with that one there. But I think this market definitely has a lot of opportunity for those who are willing to wait and wait for their playbook setups to kind of come to them. And I think that's almost always the case, right, Neil? So it's like building. I'm getting better at building that skill, trying to be more patient. And I think I did well being patient today, because normally, like I said, last year's OB would have definitely shorted this into oblivion and maybe even shut down because I missed the long. And you know,
That's key.
some improvement. What's up, Adara?
We are expecting a major announcement from Bill Ackman at 4 p.m. today. How do we know this? Because he told us himself in a very long X post saying that he's going to tease a quote potential acquisition that, if it is successful, could make him the next Warren Buffett and make his company, Pershing Square, the next Berkshire Hathaway. Well, people are expecting that this announcement is going to have something to do with Howard Hughes. Earlier this year, Ackman did basically make an unsolicited offer for Howard Hughes, but what you might not realize is he has a much longer history with this company. He actually led the company's spinoff from General Growth Properties back in 2010, and he was its chairman up until 2024. So you can check out this graphic on X as you prepare for Bill Ackman's big announcement, which will also be on X. Check this out at TTV Research. Back to you.
NVIDIA flipped. So forget about 350. That's so dirty. Usually you're waiting for 355. NVIDIA flipped to a buy of 1.4, now 2.2 million. So it happened well before 355. That catches you off guard. This is the reversion we're looking for at 55. This is why I didn't want to look short on that imbalance, but that trade, you know, sometimes it could just be as simple as it's getting too obvious at 355, so these reversions are happening a little bit before. So I think that's simply the case. Like, everyone's looking for this to turn because it's going to pair off the imbalance. It's exactly what happens, but it doesn't happen at the time that we're used to expecting it. So I think an adjustment of this might be start looking for it a minute to a minute and a half early, like it did here. And if you're able to catch it, you had ample time to get in. This goes 138. Like, you could have had it at like 30s or 40s, but I was waiting for 55. And unfortunately, that's going to be a missed opportunity. That kind of stinks. That's just how it is. Like, you're used to that 55 happen. But there's Intel trying to go back up into the top. I just heard there was a halt late, but not sure what name that is. So Intel, 16%, continues to go higher. This is why you get out. Could have still worked, obviously, but I'm not going to hold that into the high of the day. It's not the time to do it in that particular sense. I don't know that you get to 30 tomorrow, but I do feel like this gap is going to give us that opportunity. Just got to, when we get that VWAP trade, you got to stick with it. Like, Rivian worked, but Intel, I gave it to you twice, and you got to be able to have it. So we started only going long Intel, then got away from it. Is what it is. Yeah. The VWAP trade was great earlier. Like, you're getting a couple of bucks off that pretty easily early in the morning. But what's crazy is the VWAP trade was even better.
Oh, yeah.
Because instead of getting a buck twice, like, you essentially got like a very clean $1.50 move on it.
Over an ATR.
Over an ATR, buying it at VWAP in the middle of the day. That's nonsensical.
Talk about continuation.
That's continuation.
Right? It's like beautiful price action. You get a leg, consolidation above VWAP. Oh boy, next leg up. So one ATR, consolidation, another ATR. Absolutely beautiful. And again, bigger picture and then the expanding volume as well, a little bit of relative volume as well, and you have maybe some multi-time frame participants on the ticker as well. Definitely get a bit of an extended move.
Before I get to the desk, I didn't see Amazon on here. I know Apple flipped to a small buy of 900,000. I did not see Amazon. For everyone that's looking,
Whoa.
Amazon caught a
What
bid
is Amazon doing?
right in here. So it didn't
look
have
at Softy.
It didn't have a large imbalance. We showed you guys the imbalance locator, but whatever reason, there's some buyers coming into Amazon late in the day. As you saw it go about like $1.50. Microsoft is picking up on volume as that also spiked. Again, none of these had massive imbalances, but there could have been like small imbalances that flipped. You saw NVIDIA flip and caught a bid, so it looks like Amazon did it. And Microsoft did it, probably Meta as well, though I guarantee you Meta is not going to be big enough to break the trend or break the streak, not break the streak. It'll end at 20 days for Meta. I got to get up to the desk because we have the aftermarket show as usual in a couple of minutes, so I'll be joined by Adara. We're going to have some ANET earnings. Should be a fun one as well, and maybe we'll get an announcement from our good friend Bill Ackman. Not that he's our friend, but he's a friend of the markets because he provides provides lots of content. So great day today, Obi.
Thank you, Neil.
We'll head on to the desk and see you in a couple of minutes with the market recap.
Yeah, no, shout out to, thank you, Neil. Shout out to Neil for, again, a great trading day here. And yeah, always good conversation up here at the desk, whether it's a Neil or Sean. I'm always learning multiple different lessons every day here. And yeah, this market is absolutely crazy. Currently just bidding up here. Yeah, some people were talking about, is Bill Ackman buying up SMCI? It seems like Bill Ackman might be buying up the whole market right now with this kind of bid, but I have no idea. Aggressive buying on Amazon. Softy just literally wicked its, did it wick day high? I think it wicked day high from those lows. That's absolutely wild. So yeah, any shorts that were holding this, they're like, all right, well, I mean, whatever, you get stuffed out, but absolutely wild, bit of a rip through that VWAP. Look at that grab of highs. Sure, we didn't get all the way to the highs, but definitely comes right back into the zone that it showed us supply, where it showed supply is at, both in the pre-market and off of the open. Yeah, Amazon as well. Take a look at this one here. Absolutely crazy. Currently just bidding right back up into the close here. Again, looking very similar to the market again. So this is not necessarily just a move on Amazon or Softy or Apple. This is a market-wide move. A bit of a bid coming in into the close here. Paco saying Intel with 3 drops of blood. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but it's still holding that trend very nicely here on the day. You can take a look at a 15-minute chart, so absolutely wild there. So you can see, even on the 15-minute, we've held trend quite well. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, Adara. Almost missed that timing once again, but thank you all for joining us. Intel closing near high a day. We talk about the potential for this ticker to close very strong, and yeah, continuation for tomorrow. Definitely, Intel will be on watch. One of the top volume leaders on the day here. We closed trading at almost, well, it's trading a little bit more now. Let's just round it up and call it 269 million shares traded on the day on Intel. So absolutely wild. Pretty much opening near day low and closing near day highs. So absolutely aggressive. And again, you see that the market was distinctly different today. The market sold off aggressively in the morning session. What did Intel do? Intel held the bid, held the pullbacks into VWAP, held any sort of pullback and grinded up into the close while the market kind of faded off. The market sure gives us a little bit of a bid into the close as well. That's an interesting look. I have no idea why, but again, nor do I really care, but let's see what tomorrow brings us, and a lot of opportunity in this market, I do want to reiterate. So I think for me, being patient is probably the best way to do this. Spider coming right back up towards its day highs. 611.40s currently trading. Pre-market highs were 612.30s, but I won't keep you guys any longer. They're waiting for us at the big desk, Adara and Neil, for the market recap. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Have a good one.
Is she there? I don't know. Well, thank you so much, Obi, for filling in for Sean today. Adara will be back in a quick little second here. It's been one of those days. We got the energies. I have no idea how. I'm on like 3.5 hours of sleep. My back hurts after sitting in that train. I should have said this, and I didn't say this earlier. I got to give a shout out to the staff at Via Rail, because when you have a bunch of people that are on a 5.5 hour train ride that ends up being 12 hours inside of the train and you're not allowed to get off, they did a fantastic job. They were really patient. They were really kind. They were great with my daughter. So a big shout out to them, because when you're in a situation like that, as bad as it is for you, imagine if you're up and down walking around and working as opposed to just sitting in a chair relaxing. And I was able to look at charts. I was able to read some fun stuff. And we got some earnings. We don't have a lot of earnings tonight. We do have DVN, we've got Bumble, we've got CDNS, we've got ANET, we've got Occidental as well. Although I've been told just now by Fabian that Bumble is trash and nobody uses what? That's literally what you said. Basically, you said that. Yeah, I mean, Fabian was, I wouldn't know. I'm married. I'm not in the game. All right, so I don't know anything about this and from that kind of a sense. What I can tell you, it's been having a rough day today, down 4%. They are expected at 405. They do have a 14% short float. I feel like the bigger names would be Oxy. We know Mr. Buffett's been buying them. They're expected at 415. On Oxy, we're expecting Actually not a very large move. Well, last time, but we are expecting implied move of 9.5%. It only moved 2% last time, so that's kind of a big move relative to the last time here on Oxy. Up a couple of points here today. And I think the other one, Arista, that's a big stock. Not a big short flow type name, but this one can move for sure. Pop it on the daily. It's been an absolute, it did a split, but it's been an absolute rocket. And Arista closing up 4 points today. Everything sort of began and ended, not ended, but began with the strength that you saw in a few names today. Intel, rocket ship. Are they going to break it up and divest multiple parts of their business? Is it going to be Broadcom and TSM? Is it going to be one or the other? A lot remains to be seen, but it's undeniable that we found a bottom here in Intel. I know we've talked about this bottom over and over again, but hold the low, break the 50 period, now break the 200 on the daily. This is a trending stock. Any way you cut it, it's the same percentage, but it's a very different idea with what's going on with SMCI. It was up like 17 points today as well. The only difference in this bottom breakout is that we still have to wait the earnings to come out. There's a lot of buying going into it. Okay, so the deadline is approaching. I think there will be some profit taking probably on some of these longs going into it. But man, there's so much room on this stock. It's just insane how much, again, got given up here. And it still feels like we're in the third inning when it comes to this. There's a bunch of movers on the ETFs. You had strength in energy, you had strength in solar today was actually pretty good. And gold had a fantastic day. I also want to shout out materials. We had a few people talk about those. XLB at ye old 200 period and trying to break out. Boring, yet somehow looking good if this can start to break a little bit higher. I don't know if we got any of the earnings out yet. I feel like we're supposed to have had CDNS already, but they're a small one. And Bumble's supposed to be, it's supposed to be out, and it just quadrupled. Well, Fabian told you they weren't good and Bumble to the downside. So there it is. Goes all the way down to $7.50 from $8. 40% short floated. Dara has the numbers on Bumble as already to the low. I'm sorry, I just saw in the chat. You're killing me here, Airy Pages. You can't do that while I'm live. I'm not even going to read that out loud. Let's get the numbers of Dara.
So apparently they did have quarterly declines here, so sequential decline here for their Q4 revenue, but it actually did apparently, that was for their paying users. I'm trying to find their fiscal Q4 revenue. There we go. Okay, so it actually decreased 4% year over year, $261.6 million. That looks like a slight beat compared to the estimates I'm seeing of $260 million, but again, that is a year over year decline. They also said they were unfavorably impacted by $2.7 million from foreign currency movements. Their Bumble app revenue dropped 3.8% year over year. Their other app revenue dropped by 6.8%, though total paying users actually rose by 5.3%. So some metrics were higher, most of them lower on a quarterly basis. Let's see if we have ANET.
Yeah,
we do have ANET. Okay, revenue up 19.5%. So year over year revenue for ANET up 19.5%. Let me see what we're doing for the quarter. So Q4 revenue up 6.6% here. For Arista, it's coming in at $1.93 billion. That looks like a beat because I was seeing estimates of $1.89 billion. They also said that was up actually 25. Yes, it was 25% year over year, 6.6% quarterly increase. Their GAAP margin a little bit lower here than Q3 and also lower on a year over year basis. So GAAP margin not great. Non-GAAP margin also lower than previous. So not a great look. Though their non-GAAP EPS actually up apparently on a year over year basis.
Yeah, well, ANET might be a textbook example of the dangers of trading in the aftermarket on earnings because you did have an initial move to the downside on what seemingly was a couple of misses there. You got down to 105, broke back out, go to 115. Ultimately, you're inside the expected range and just shaking everybody out. So the options makers, the option sellers seemingly right now are winning again. Implied move was 10%, and you're going to stay inside of that with a rinse in both directions. That's about as nasty as you're usually going to see. Now, Oxy's not for another 8 minutes or so. That's what's going to, we'll see what happens with Oxy. I feel like that's going to be the other mover. We do have some other smaller names that have reported. So the nasty one, obviously, is going to be Bumble, which is not bouncing that much. We're now down 12% and holding lows. I didn't pull up the daily chart on this. Yeah, this is flat bottom break underneath 720 here on Bumble. And you think somebody liked selling this? Every time, look at this sucker, try to get the 200 period moving average. and someone's leaning on it. This is what short sell firms do. This is what hedge funds do. And this is why they make so much money, because it's been free money to short this at the 200 period moving average. It would be more fun for traders if it broke out, but it didn't. So a Bumble down 12% and getting nastier and nastier here. I guess flat bottom break at 720 might be an SSR play tomorrow, although not usually the kind of name that I look for an SSR bounce in. Typically, you want those in stocks that there's people that want to buy, generally speaking. Like there's no good way to point that out, but you're usually looking for a stock is down 10%. I'm looking for a relief rally. It tends to be in something that you think there's if people want to take some shots in. I'm not sure that this one qualifies, to be honest with you, for Bumble. Down 15%, and ANET still plugging along here as it tries to hold green. So it's still inside the range. It feels like it just rinsed people in either direction, but it is holding higher despite some of those, like the margin miss that you mentioned there, Adara. Doesn't seem to be weighing too much on Arista yet.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting here, Howard Hughes, not an earnings name, but we know we were expecting Bill Ackman to announce an acquisition. As he said, he teased this acquisition as basically making him the next Warren Buffett should it go through. And then, of course, Pershing Square, his company, would be the next Berkshire Hathaway. So their plan, apparently, they submitted a proposal to acquire 10 million newly issued shares of Howard Hughes. So if that goes through, combined with their existing shares, they will have a total of 48% of the company. So if that transaction goes forward, he will become the chairman and CEO of the company, which is pretty funny because if you saw the infographic I just posted, he actually stepped down as chairman last year. But apparently, if this acquisition goes through, then he will be the new chairman of the company and they will own 48% of the company. And also the new Howard Hughes Holdings will be acquiring controlling interest in private and public companies that, quote, meet Pershing Square's criteria for business quality. So this is pretty much a takeover they're attempting. They did basically submit an unsolicited bid going back to last month, their January 13th, 25. But keep an eye on this for HH8s. Also, Charmaine Khan was asking about Shift 4 payments. I put the number in the chat, but I'll go over it here too. They beat on EPS for Q4, $1.35 versus $1.14 expected. But sales were a miss, 887 million versus 1.01 billion expected. They did also announce they're going to be acquiring Global Blue for $7.50 per share, which is roughly 2.5 billion in enterprise value. So lots of tickers there. Also, I like this pun from Paulo in the chat. They hating it because they ain't it for ANET.
That's a great one. That is a great one in there. I want to address something in the chat because I see in the chat here, and you know I don't like seeing it, obviously, and shout out to you, Jessica, for being brave enough to post this. I lost all my savings in 3 years. I want to learn reliable trading. Trading is hard, and anybody that tells you otherwise is lying to you or selling something. And I've been doing this for a while. Sean and I have been doing this for over 20 years. And what I can tell you is you see a lot of traders that come through, and most traders fail. Whether it's 90% or 90%, it doesn't matter what the number is. You see all these, it's over 90%. And the truth is, the ones that do succeed, you have to be disciplined and patient and willing to walk, willing to run when you find something that's working for you. But if you don't have that ability to A, weather storms, B, sit down and learn and wait until you find something that works for you to put capital towards it, understand there will be ups and downs. All of that is going to be par for the course. So for most people, you're mostly looking for an opportunity to supplement income. Sometimes you sit on a prop desk and you're fortunate enough to make a living from it. That is obviously going to be rare. What I can tell you is you're in the right place. We have a fantastic community. We're here every single day, and we're all just trying to learn together and get better together. The market is constantly changing. You will always have to adapt to it. You have never figured it all out when you were a trader. So you are not alone, Jessica. We're all in this journey together, regardless of how long you've been doing it. And you know what? Actually, Dara's dancing it there, but you know, we recently celebrated, Dara recently, her first positive month as a new trader. She's learning the markets and the journey. Obi just recently graduated. We're actually going to be celebrating that.
Well, that's going to be fun.
It was a while ago, actually. We just haven't done the graduation celebration. We're going to be doing that. Is it next week?
It's next Friday.
Next Friday, we're all going out. It's months overdue to celebrate Obi's graduation, and he's turned into a fantastic trader himself in his own right. So Jessica, you're in the right spot. But understand this is this is a marathon. It's not a sprint in trading. And if you're not willing to learn, I think it's going to be difficult if you're not willing to be be humble and learn, which I think obviously you are. And the fact that you're already willing to say that is a great step. And just sort of understand that when you are a trader, you've got to be, if you're a retail trader, I should say, what you put into retail trading, you should be willing to lose, right? Like, if it's all of your savings, I think that's a tough spot to be in. You do need that bankroll. Some people are fortunate enough, maybe when you started, the timing of it, if you don't have responsibilities. I'll tell you right now that when I happened to start trading and start having some success, I was living at home. I had no bills to pay. Okay, I paid some rent and I had to eat and that kind of stuff, but I didn't have any responsibilities. So when I started to have some success, I was able to save. That's just some of it blind luck about when I started, so I could build a bankroll and deal with the ups and downs. Not everybody starts from that kind of a standpoint, but if you don't, you do want to make sure that you can save up, because you've got to be willing to learn at any point and lose whatever it is that you're trading in retail. So I just wanted to point out, Devon Energy is also out. It's not doing much. Oxy is out in 1 minute. Devon's up only a couple of points here.
Apparently Oxy's out, but I'm not.
Okay, maybe Oxy is out.
I'm
so
not seeing it.
I haven't seen Oxy's numbers yet. Devon's only up 2%. Occidental, it did move. It's flat-ish. Like, it's moving a little bit. I would suggest it's not. This doesn't look like it's already out because it's kind of an inside move here, up a couple of points, but it was already up on the day here. So we're supposed to get them at about 415 for sure. And I just wanted to throw this in there. Stanley, or become an investor. Yes, this should go without saying. And I should have led with that. And Oxy should be out any second now. Investing is something that if you are thinking about your future, that's the basics where you should start from. They don't teach it enough in schools, but understand compounding, B, understand the power of buying good companies and holding for a long time, or buying the index and holding it for a long time. Because for a lot of people, that's the way to generate wealth. It's hard to get into housing these days, whether you're north of the border or whether you're down south, it doesn't matter. So the ability to buy and hold things, I think, is paramount for sure. So you always start from there. It's a good base to have, man. Like, I'll tell you, when I started trading and started making commission, the first things I bought weren't the right things, and that didn't last very long. I went from trying to take shots in penny stocks to let's just buy and hold the indexes and buy and hold some mutual funds, and then from there worry about buying individual stocks. I think that's a long, powerful tool that you should have. So Oxy not doing any movement. We'll just have to wait around here. I'm not seeing it do anything. Devon, as I said, was moving around a bit. It's still really the two big ones are going to be Arista and Bumble, although there's a lot of puns I could say with Bumble. You can just imagine them here, bumbling around, fumble. Yeah, whatever. There's a few that you can throw in there. Arista just lost a bid. So Arista just lost a bid. It's now underneath the 110. And all of a sudden, the second I flip away from Occidental, the numbers are now out. Dara.
So Occidental here. Oh, and it's just a link. Okay. Give me a second here. I have to access their page. But Occidental, the expected move for Oxy was 9.6%, apparently. Let me see. Earnings released. Oh, and now the page isn't found, so I cannot access these earnings, unfortunately. Thanks, Oxy, for making that easy. We'll have to wait and see if Benzinga pops up the numbers for us. I'm unable to access the report. Also, they apparently announced further progress on their debt reduction. So Occidental earnings out and further debt reduction progress. So that's so much for OXY. So Rohit Sharma, I believe, in the chat asking about EQT. Someone else might have asked as well. I'm not seeing these earnings until 4:30 p.m. I don't have the expected moves in my notes, unfortunately, but if you look at Market Chameleon under earnings, you will definitely be able to find it there. They're pretty reliable. Donald Trump signing right now. He praised the work done by Doge, so keep an eye on Tesla. And also basically apparently signed, I guess, some memorandums to impose transparency in government departments. That's basically what Doge is trying to do. So good luck for Doge. Sometimes Doge-related announcements can have a little bit of an impact on TSLA, especially due to some concerns that he's spending too much time on Doge and not enough time on Tesla. And by he, I mean Mr. Musk.
Well, one of the big trades that I think is happening now when you consider Doge is this, it's the defense names under pressure in the Palantir long. Like, everyone seems to think it's hard to cut expenses in the US. You can't touch entitlements and you got to pay the interest on the debt. Well, then are you going to cut defense spending? So if the war is going to end and Ukraine, all the money that's going out there, start to see these defense contractors go down, and where does that money go to? All of this, it's Palantir and the AI trade. You're seeing lots of, not insiders, that's the wrong word, you're seeing more congressional buyers of the stock. It made another all-time high in here today. It's not moving right now, but you guys get what I'm saying here with this trade. Like, it's been this up, Now, I'm not picking on Lockheed Martin. It's just that this is the one I've been looking around for it to make the curl. It has not done so just yet. It's still trending down. Look at Lockheed. Lockheed Martin is from $600 to almost $400 now. These are monster levels that are starting to come back into this. It hasn't done any kind of reversion since earnings. It's only been falling and falling and falling. But that's been part of the trade. So understand, defense names under pressure and Palantir to the moon. I feel like if you get a reversion in these, that could signal a little bit of a top there for Palantir. Hasn't happened just yet. More Trump news here. What do we have?
Yeah, keep an eye out here for chips. Keep it out for cars. Donald Trump said that apparently he's been contacted by companies because of the tariffs. Said he will be announcing chips and car companies coming back to the U.S. and said, quote, we'll see announcements over the next couple weeks. He said car plants are going to be built in the United States and the auto tariff rate will be about 25%. So 25% auto tariff rate, but he's teasing out more announcements. He said pharmaceutical tariffs will be, quote, probably 25% or higher. So lots of vague tariff-related guidelines here from Donald Trump. A lot of these tariff announcements have kind of been more guidance than actual hard numbers as of late, including the big one that we got last week. So keep an eye on that. Occidental, apparently, I'm seeing their numbers. I'm seeing how they compare to estimates. Their Q4 revenue, $6.84 billion. They're expecting 1.39 to 1.45 million BOED for production for the fiscal year. So we're going to take a look here at OXY.
Yeah.
So 6.84 billion in revenue.
Still not moving.
That is not comparing to the number I'm seeing, so I need to check that. But yeah, OXY here not moving too much on earnings.
No, it's kind of a nothing burger for Oxy. Maybe we're just going back to, hey, the numbers don't matter. All we need to know is how much is Warren buying. Maybe that's going to be the catalyst for Occidental. But I would posit it hasn't had the support on Occidental at the mid-50s where Buffett was buying before, and you still haven't broken the downward trend that it's been sitting in. So kind of a nothing burger here. Maybe it's a start of something. We could maybe close above the 50 period, but that hasn't really mattered. I'd like to see us get back above that 55 buy zone that Buffett used to have in there. That's going to be the 200 period moving average. So I think that's going to be a little bit more interesting. ANET still humming around here.
Bumble too.
As that one, it's basically back to flat. As I said before with this, if you're trading this on earnings, this is exactly how people get rinsed. You make the gamble, it stays inside the range despite looking like it could go, washes people in either direction, and the options market makers are winning on this one. The sellers are going to win here. And unfortunately for Bumble, still stumbling, although it just held $7, so it's only down 17% Bumble here.
Oh,
only 17% on Bumble. So there's a chance that it's found a low, although, well, you know what? The good news on Bumble is you're ways away from the 52-week low. It's still kind of in the pocket here. It's kind of flat bottom broken already. I said 720. I'm trying to be nice about this, but it is under that 720 level pretty decently. So it's still, underneath that, I'm probably looking shorts, 7 to 720, unless proven otherwise. And maybe thered be some kind of an SSR bounce at 570, 580 or so on this chart.
Yeah, I want to say with Bumble, I have guidance, and it's not great. So Q1 revenue guidance, they're guiding between $242 to $248 million. That is well below estimates of $256.9 million. They also said their Q4 paying users actually rose by 5.3% yearly, but they did drop as well on a quarterly basis. Their ARPU, so their average revenue per paying user, dropped to $20.58, and they said they're going to be discontinuing some of their apps in the first half of 2025. Also, if you missed it, Whitney is actually going to be returning to the company. Whitney Wolf Herd, who was its founder, is returning as CEO. That was announced a while ago. So BMBL, with its new/old CEO set to return, again, weaker than expected Q1 revenue guide. They did beat for Q4 sales, and again, increase in paying users on a year-over-year basis, but a decline quarterly for BMBL. Any other earnings people want to know? I mean, CDNS, I don't know if we really went that over Cadence, so we can do that as well. They dropped. The guidance on Cadence was pretty gross. So they guided, so not gross, but it was not great. Adjusted earnings between $6.65 and $6.75 per share versus $6.83 expected. That's a miss across the board. The revenue guide also missed across the board, 5.14 bill to 5.22 bill versus 5.25 bill expected, though Cadence did beat, it must be said, on EPS and sales for the current fiscal quarter.
Yeah, that's one that just lost a decent support level on cadence. And technically, it's a bad one because it was pretty clearly defined, this 285 level. Resistance to support to potentially breaking. It's at 86. It hasn't broken it yet, but down with a chance that it could get a little bit nasty for cadence. Just Oxy just finally moved a little bit here as it just lost a bid. Not down a ton, but Oxy losing that 48.80, now tracking a little bit lower. Still no bottom made, unfortunately, in this name. Retu stocks, is it Redo stocks? Redo stocks. Devon now back into the green. So it did pull back. It's been up and down, but still a bit of a nothing burger for Devon Energy. We always talk about, when I say nothing burger, the implied move was 5%, and we're inside that. So it wasn't a big mover. Last earnings, I think it moved about 1 to just under 2%, 1.7% last earnings. The expected move was just under 5. You've got a nothing burger on Devon. Like Oxy, in a downward trend that it's trying to break, this doesn't necessarily move the needle for Devon Energy either. So I think patience is required. It hasn't been good for these energy names. If you try to get out in front of this, I find I'd rather participate in a bounce trade than try to pick a bottom like, ooh, this is going to be the low. Let it show you it's made a bit of a bottom and break that trend. Devon hasn't shown you that. This earnings has shown you nothing to, I guess, get you away from that, or get me away from that, at least in the short run here. So unfortunately, Devon, not much. Oxy to the downside. Bumble, what can we say about that other than it is nasty, nasty, nasty. There was one thing that we didn't mention. Well, I feel like we didn't mention it enough today, and I told myself I wanted to reiterate this. Lost in the SMCI today and lost in the Intel move today was the good day that Nike had with the strong run higher. And I just want to point out, it held at 6% to the upside move, higher lows all the way, great looking trend. I feel like you got a little bit more room for this to get to $80 tomorrow. So I know we only have a few minutes to go. This one got lost in the wave of a couple of 100 million shares of Intel and trend higher and so many other things moving. Nike could be a good one. Maybe one more day before you get into that selling opportunity in the $80 level. I just feel like sometimes as traders, if tomorrow Intel doesn't set up for long, maybe there's no SMCI continuation, maybe you don't like Palantir, which has been flying around there, you might want to look at a day two runner like a Nike, which has been relatively strong. Let's Go, I was green today, but I like to grade myself on, Let's Go just asked if I was green today. I was, but I even turned to Obi, I go, I don't deserve it today. Why? Because it has nothing to do with, look, Intel was the easiest trade off of VWAP in the middle of the day. Twice it bounced off VWAP. I even said in my note, and even said this morning, at the middle of the day, we got to look for the longs on Intel in the middle of the day off of VWAP. And, you know, Intel ends up closing, $27.5 we're at?
Oh my gosh.
It gives you multiple bounces in the middle of the day here. I don't have VWAP on this chart, but it's right in here. It just gives you all that support, and then it just trends higher. And I didn't have any longs in the second half of the day. Now, so there's a good book written by Annie Duke. She's a poker player, and I've referenced it before. It's called Thinking in Bets. And basically, without going over the whole book, it's a great book. Everyone should read it. I think traders should read it as well. It's about basing or judging or measuring yourself based on decisions and not outcomes. Why? Because you can play deuce 7 like a tool against aces and make some kind of move and then win because you hit something, but it doesn't make it a good decision just because you happen to win. So whether or not just because I happened to be up today doesn't mean I was making good decisions today. I stopped going long Intel and missed the majority of the move. Does it matter that I was up on it? Or should I be grading myself poorly for not having it be my best stock today? It wasn't. Palantir was. It should have been Intel. So that's the way I like to judge myself, and everyone's going to be different. And that's the way I like to look at things. I try to evaluate the decisions that I make as opposed to the outcome, because the market is more than willing to punish you for doing the right thing or reward you for doing the wrong. And if you only listen to the result as opposed to what you should do on a percentage basis, you can get yourself into a world of hurt every now and then. So 1312 Wolf, you should wear your red shades I don't have red shades. They're orange, actually. My blue light glasses are orange. They're not really red there. And Palantir, yes, at 124.44, Paco. I kind of threw in there that Palantir was one of the three names. Like if the longs don't work tomorrow in Palantir, SMCI, and Intel, then maybe look at like a Nike. And why I say that is, why should we look anywhere first thing in the morning other than what have been the strongest plays? Palantir, another dip and rip. Intel, another continuation. SMCI, another continuation. So why shouldn't we start there as traders and then kind of work backwards? Yeah, Nike was good, but it's not doing the volume that these names did. I think always try to keep it simple. And on that note, it'll probably be, nothing good on Rumble. Because, or Bumble, I should say. Not Rumble. My bad. Bumble, as it's still holding underneath $7. I feel like that might be an opportunity, but just not in the way that most people would want when we like betting long.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and find out what happens there with BMBL. But I want to remind everyone with regards to, also, I just want to let you guys know, ADI, someone was asking about in the chat. Don't forget, I know you already saw the message, but in case anyone else is wondering, ADI reports tomorrow morning. So analog devices, I'm happy that you got to see it, to the person who was asking, because I know you did. But ADI is reporting tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. But I want to talk about HHH here one more time, in case you missed it. Howard Hughes popped up here in the afternoon around here when Bill Ackman made a tweet implying he's going to make an announcement about a, quote, potential acquisition. Then at 4 p.m., he announces that he and his fund, Pershing Square, filed to acquire 10 million shares of Howard Hughes. They already own 19 million shares. So if they get that 10 mil, that would give them a 48% stake in the company, at which point we see Ackman wanting to be CEO of Howard Hughes. He also wants to be their chairman, even though he stepped down as chairman last year. So interesting stuff there. That is the deal with our friend Ackman and HHH. Question about Rum here from Ostentatious Productions. Rumble is always making some announcement or another. I have noticed I'm not seeing any announcements from this week or even late last week, but I'll take a look. I'll message you in the chat if I see anything.
Yeah, so
I can't believe Rumble's already done.
It's already 4:30, so there's a couple of things I wanted to answer. One, someone asked me in the chat, how do you exit a long-term position? There's only reasons I get out of long-term positions: fundamental change in the company, loss of the 200 period moving average, or a loss of a major support area on a weekly chart. I always look at weekly time frame. Swoldemort, it's a dum-dum and just take profits whenever I happen to, I'm a dum-dum and just take profits whenever I happen to get lucky for investing. It's nothing wrong with ringing the register, but I think you should always have a plan of action. And when you're buying and holding, sometimes you have to do that hold part as well. There's nothing wrong with paying yourself out a little bit, especially when you get a good runner. Like imagine Palantir, like if you didn't take 10% out, or 15%, it's not that crazy. I think if you've got a long in Intel, maybe you take some out. But you know what time it is, everybody? It's roll call time. It's 4:30. Big shout out, first of all, to Fabian and Ramin, making us look and sound good every single day. And got to remind everybody, if you want to be part of roll call, you got to be in the chat. And to be in the chat, you got to be subscribers. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, more importantly, so you can join our great community. And shout out to everyone in our community. You're the absolute best. I want to give a big thank you to not just the Midday boys, kicking it, but also wish Joe a great vacation as he's headed off to Jamaica. So Sharif and Joe kicking butt. Thank you so much to Obi for filling in for Sean today. He's feeling under the weather. Hopefully Sean will feel better and come back in tomorrow. My main man over there as well. Shout out to Brendan and of course Adara as always. We got a great team around here, and that couldn't be any more important than to acknowledge our moderator, Bears versus Bulls. Best moderator in the business. We can't do it without you. Thank you so much for everything that you do. So you know what time it is. It's roll call time. Get your name in the chat. I'm going to give a big thank you to Intel stock for providing so many opportunities here at Era.
Yeah, shout out to Fernando Valle before I forget, because Fernando Valle is specifically asking you to shout him out. Shout out to ATL. I mean, Atlanta is home of literally so many dope rappers. So shout out to you, Fernando. Shout out to Neil. Shout out to Sean.
True that.
Shout out, who's not even here today. Shout out to Sharif and Joe. Shout out to Obi. Oh boy. Shout out to Fabian, Ramin, Andre, Brendan, Randy with his awesome auto segment, and Bears vs. Bulls for thank you for everything you do every single day. Paco OR, Pelican, TS Booker, John Manzoni, Don Haben. We've got Down to Sky. We have Randall. We have Daryl Flinch, Lost Hansen. We have Stevenson. We've got Crypto, FOMO, Benton C, Celery 2. We have 100 miles per hour, Chancellor Palms, 1320 Wolf. We have Sir MM, SH Ting, Jesse, Bob S. We have On to Blockchains. We've got Gaurav. We've got Pelican again. We have Haroon. We have Andrew Chow, RN Day Trader, life too short to miss. I love that one. I'm going to end with that one. And you know what? Just make sure you're making good choices every day. Follow the rules, make rules, follow them, and just keep on going. And every day is a new day.
That is so true, and tomorrow will be a new day. It is hump day tomorrow. It's a holiday shortened week, so don't forget, everybody, it is going to be Wednesday tomorrow. I have already forgotten that because that's how I roll. I promise to get more than 3.5 hours sleep tonight because, quite frankly, it's hard not to. But thank you guys so much. You guys are a great community. The best part about all of this, we've got big-time movers still happening. We've got the reaction to earnings tomorrow and more to come. So you know the drill. Get some rest. I know I will. We'll be back 8:30 in the morning. Why? Because we're Trader TV Live. We're here every day the market is open for you. See you tomorrow.